Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, here with this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. Welcome everybody. Today we're looking at the planet of dreams moving into a sign of manifestation and action. So what are your dreams? And what is the likelihood of those dreams manifesting for you at some stage in the coming 14 years of Neptune in Aries? We're going to explore that in this video today. But firstly, let me announce congratulations to Marion's Crystal Creations, who has won the free solar return report for this month. Marion shared my video on her social media channel, and therefore she has gone into the draw to win and has won. So I will be in touch with you, Marion, to arrange your free solar return report. If you'd like to win a solar return report, simply share my videos on your social media channels, tag me in them so I know you've done it, and you could be next month's winner. Now, Neptune moving into Aries. This is the biggest energetic shift since Pluto moved into Aquarius, and it will be the biggest energetic shift of 2025. There are plenty of other things happening in 2025, but this planet is key. Why is it key? Because it is the furthest outer planet that will be changing signs this year. Pluto did it last year. Pluto's further out than Neptune is. Neptune is closer to Earth than Pluto most of the time, and so therefore Neptune is let's say less in strength than mighty Pluto at the furthest reaches of the solar system, but Neptune is the final frontier in terms of the planets that are changing signs in 2025. So the further out a planet is, the stronger its impacts. And so we are going to have this very strong change of energy happening and beginning in 2025. Now, this occurred on the 31st of March. I shared a video last week with Astro Tash from Australia looking at a simple overview of Neptune in Aries. This one's going to be a little bit deeper than that, as I like to cover a lot of information in my videos to help teach people astrology. It's one of my main missions in life, to help you learn. But also, if you want to go even deeper than this video about Neptune in Aries, then you can look at my Neptune through the houses playlist. Find the house that is relevant to your rising sign, or you can look at your sun and moon sign too if you would really like to. But if you do that, then you can actually find out with greater depth what Neptune is going to do for you in that realm of your life for the next 14 years. And I say 14 years because that is the time frame that Neptune will move through Aries. He's moving in 2025, and he will make his way, or beginning to make his way out, in 2039. So it's a powerful time, and Neptune has been 14 years in the sign of Pisces down here. 14 years. So what has happened in your life in 14 years? Probably a lot, I would dare say. A lot's happened in my life. My life has changed completely in 14 years. Where I was 14 years ago is far and away so polarically different to where I am at today. The same will happen in your life during Neptune's transit through Aries. We're all going to change a lot in 14 years. That's just par for the course. But what kinds of changes are going to happen is determined by Neptune. And we're going to explore that in greater depth in this video. What is Neptune? Well, look, I could spend hours talking about this incredible planet, and it is incredible. One of my favorite astrological books was written by Liz Green about Neptune. It is far and away one of the top books I have ever read on astrology. And I could talk for hours on this planet. It is, funnily enough, one of the least talked about planets in astrology. A lot of people avoid talking about Neptune. They don't understand it. They don't like to talk about it. It feels a little alien to most people who are ingrained in Earth reality and looking for Earth manifestation. Neptune is otherworldly. Neptune is very spiritual. Neptune is a planet that's all about the belief that there is enough for everyone and that dreams can become reality. What greater vision is there than that Neptune energy? Fantastic. Neptune has a dark side too. If you think about all the mythologies about Neptune, all the mythologies of Neptune talk about rage. Poseidon, Neptune, always in a rage at someone, trying to, bring Odysseus down, or raping Medusa in the temple of Athena. Like, Neptune is this, on the shadow side, a raging, angry energy. And this is the case. If your dreams have not manifested, if your visions have not fruited into reality, there's this bitter rage that can bubble up inside of you. And the key to working with Neptune's energy, I'll talk more about this a little later, is to somehow overcome this rage that bubbles up inside of us when our dreams don't fruit. This is a big deal for Neptune. I don't know if your part of the world has the term a Karen. Apologies to anybody named Karen watching this video, but it is a term in Australia used to refer to mostly middle-aged women who are at that point in their life where their rage is bubbling up in them. They had dreams, they had goals, they had visions. They put their all into making life what they aspired for it to be. And now there is a bitterness because it hasn't fruited the way they dreamed that it would. Now, by all levels of equality, there should be a masculine terminology for those people in middle age who have that bubbling rage within them as well. And I, for one, I have times when I go into that zone myself, feel that rage, especially when I'm driving on the road and someone cuts me off. Can't we all live in peace? Why have you got to drive like an absolute dickhead? Rage bubbles up in me at those times. I'm not sure what the masculine is. I have heard people say that it's a Karen for a woman and a Ken for a man. I don't know about that. But anyhow, you get the idea. And if you're a middle-aged person as I am, you know that feeling of rage. Now, this is a Neptunian energy. You might think that Mars is rage in astrology. Mars is the action that we take, but Neptune is the feeling of the rage within us. I could spend hours talking about that, but I won't. Neptune is also a karmic planet. Neptune is also the most creative and artistic planet, where the divine influences our life in a creative and artistic way, or in a karmically outflowing way, that we get the repercussions of our past life actions or inactions through Neptune and through a number of other planets in karmic astrology as well. Let's have a look at Neptune in natal charts very briefly here. Neptune is always strongest when Neptune is placed on an angle, when it is conjunct with the sun, or when it is conjunct with the moon. If you've got Neptune in any of those placements in your chart, then you have a strong Neptunian influence on your life. Now, when I say placed in an angle, that means the first house, fourth house, seventh house, or 10th house, particularly strong when it is conjunct with the ascendant, the IC, the DC, or the MC. And I would allow only maybe 3 to 4 degree orbs at most for that strong influence to be present. Okay, so having it in an angle, but must be within orb of those manifestation points that I just described. Also, if Neptune is in your chart in a strong position, in fact, for everybody, I should say, for everybody looking at Neptune in your chart, if there are only good Western aspects, trines, trines or sextiles, conjunction you could also consider as well. If there are only good aspects to Neptune in your chart, and in many astrological programs you'll see that represented by a blue line, only good aspects in the chart. This is a signature that Neptune's highest good will unfold in your life, and your life may experience dreams coming true and miracles unfolding in your life in due time. Underline that, in due time, eventually. If there are only harsh aspects, square aspects, oppositions to Neptune, it is a signature that you are on a journey to learn Neptune's lessons of compassion, forgiveness, and unconditional love in this lifetime. And this is a karmic repercussion from past lives where you didn't practice compassion, forgiveness, and unconditional love. These are all topics of Neptune. If you have a mixed bag of Neptunian aspects to your Neptune, so you might have a square and a trine, and maybe an opposition and a sextile, and maybe a conjunction. Mixed bag of aspects to Neptune indicates that you're going to get a mixed result from Neptune's energy in this lifetime. This will also be a karmic retribution for past lives where you sometimes showed unconditional love and sometimes you showed conditional love, where sometimes you showed compassion but sometimes you didn't. And so you get a mixed result in this lifetime. Neptune is a karmic planet. There will be some miracles, some deceptions, some disappointments, some disillusionments with a mixed number of aspects to your Neptune. Neptune's results in our lives, they usually manifest for us most strongly after the age 48. Now, this is similar to Cato's maturation or the South Node maturation in Vedic astrology. And indeed, Cato and Neptune have very similar qualities to them and very similar manifestations to them. Now, for everybody keen to work with Neptune energy, the theme, as I've already mentioned in this video, is to keep the faith. Keep believing in your dreams. Don't allow yourself to become bitter and cynical, even at times when somebody cuts you off in traffic or whatever. Try to find that inner peace. Keep on hoping for the manifestation of your dreams, for the realization. Keep on hoping that eventually the dreams you have will be realized, even in the face of great disappointment. This is called keeping the faith, keeping the hope in your heart alive. Neptune often withholds his magical blessings in whatever area he sits in your chart until later on in life, when you have learnt to give unconditionally to life and to keep the faith. Now, if you can do these things, and if you work hard on doing these things, recognizing that everything is energy, including Neptune's manifestations, Neptune will often give you the longings of your heart to some degree or another based on the quality of Neptune in your natal chart, which we've just described. Perfect example. I met the love of my life, David, in my 48th year of life, the Neptune manifestation year of life. After 14 years, hello, there's that magical transit number, 14 years as a single mum, believing during that time that eventually my soulmate would come. And if it didn't come in this lifetime, then it would come in another lifetime, in another incarnation. But he would always be worth waiting for. David, my husband, is my Neptune miracle. That is the miraculous manifestation of Neptune in my life, amongst other things as well. I'm not just limited to that one particular miracle in my life. There are many other things as well, but it's a perfect example of what can happen in that sort of 48th year and beyond when Neptune matures and gives his results in life. And also an example of this 14-year transit effort. Now, with that in mind, just to wrap up this section of our discussion on what Neptune does in a natal chart and how Neptune can play out and affect us by transit. Neptune, when he gets to the final sort of 10 to 6 degrees of a sign, will start manifesting the potential that he entered that sign to bring about. All planets do this, by the way. So Neptune, when I met David, yes, I was in my 48th year of life, and Neptune was moving in these last 10 degrees of Pisces during that time when we were getting to know each other and falling in love and dating and then getting married and so forth. Neptune was moving through the final 10 degrees of the sign of Pisces. That's when we often see the manifestation, the influence, the strengthening of the purpose that Neptune is wanting to accomplish as he transits through a house. So with that in mind, as we move into Neptune moving into Aries now, remember this happened on the 31st of March last week, Neptune moving into Aries begins a new 14-year cycle. And the miracle and the manifestation that may come of this in your personal life may not happen until Neptune moves through the final 10 degrees of Aries towards the middle to the end of the 2030s. That's when we're going to start to see the results of what is put in place now and starts unfolding now. So it's a very important time. What we establish now in our lives is going to be very impactful towards or for the next 14 years. So with all Neptune energies, I encourage people, and I do it myself, establish a vision board. I have goosebumps. You can't see them because under my shirt, but I have goosebumps as I'm saying this. People, we need to do a vision board for the time of Neptune in Aries, for the 14 years of Neptune in Aries. Keep your vision high. And in those dark times, when you start to lose the faith, as will happen, there's up and down times, over the next 14 years, when you start to lose faith that your dream can manifest, that miracles can happen, refer back to your vision board. Keep your dream alive. Keep your hope alive, whatever way you can. But have that vision. Neptune is a vision. Neptune is the dream. Have it in front of you and keep working towards it. We're going to talk about that working towards energy. Very powerful now that Neptune is moving into Aries. And having just said that, please don't think that your dream is only going to manifest in 14 years' time. It can absolutely manifest sooner. You might turn 48 next year, and you might start to move into some sort of Neptune manifestation straight away. So, and there might be other triggers that happen to your natal Neptune that cause Neptune manifestation to come your way earlier than at the end of the process of Neptune moving through Aries, such as a transit by Uranus to your Neptune, or a transit by Jupiter to your Neptune, which can activate Neptune themes in your life. So please don't think you're limited to that manifestation period that I just described. I mention that manifestation period because it's often very powerful. And if we have eyes to see, we can look and recognize, aha, this is Neptune's work at that time. Something to look forward to, my friends. Okay, let's have a look. Neptune in Aries, 2025 to 2039. Neptune, when it's in the sign of Aries, is full of energy. Fire signs are energy signs, and Neptune gets energized. Neptune themes get energized during these 14 years. And we might find that we encounter more people on their own personal spiritual crusade in some sort of bold, passionate way. This is a combining of Neptune and Aries energies. This is not about the dreaming of Neptune dreams and just getting lost in the dreams themselves. That's a Pisces energy. Pisces energy is a feminine energy. It's receptive. It is not go-getter energy. So we might have spent the last 14 years in many ways dreaming and visualizing and putting our desires out there to the universe. I've certainly done that over the last 14 years, built my dreams and castles in the sky, as they're called. And being a Pisces rising person, sometimes I'm very content just to have my dreams. My dreams are my fulfillment because, God help me, harsh reality out there is a place that I often don't want to be in. So I'm happy to just be in my mind, in my head, in my visualizations. That's Neptune in Pisces energy. What a difference. What a difference Neptune in Aries is. This energy is about bringing all the dreams we've put out into the ether. What does Abraham Hicks always say? In the vortex. Oh, I'll put my dreams out in the vortex. We've been putting them into the vortex for 14 goddamn years. Now, here comes Neptune into Aries. Let's turn those dreams into reality, friends. Another thing to consider as Neptune moves into Aries is, where have we been deceived in the last 14 years? Now, we can talk globally or we can talk personally. I've certainly got plenty of personal stories about deceptions that I've been exposed to over the last 14 years. Do you? Those areas where we have been deceived are now areas that we are going to get passionate about changing and actively moving away from. If a person's deceived you, if a community has deceived you, if a job has been deceptive, you thought it was going to be something, it turned out to be something completely different. If a home life has, been a source of deception for you in some way, many, many scenarios, of course, I could illustrate here. But you're going to get passionate now that Neptune's in Aries about, giving the bird, saying, enough, I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with that anymore. You've deceived me. I'm making a change. This is a cardinal sign, Aries. Cardinal signs are all about shifting the energy and changing the energy. So very, very exciting. Now, at the same time, we might find, as we look at people around us and even examine our own lives, that we might choose to not go down the road of traditional religion from now on. But it doesn't mean that we throw the baby out with the bathwater and give up on our own beliefs. We might actually prefer an individual approach to our belief systems. Neptune is spiritual belief, Aries is individualism. So Neptune in Aries will cause us to question long-held beliefs, long-held ideals, and we are going to try and seek alternatives now to what we grew up with, what you were ingrained with, what you were brainwashed with. Unfortunately, I have to say this, it's very unfortunate. I know I'm a Pisces rising, but hopefully it's a shadow side that I have not bought into, touch wood. But Pisces can be full of propaganda. Pisces can be full of brainwashing and hypnosis. So can Neptune. But now in Aries, we're not going to be hypnotized on a mass level any longer. We're not going to be, looking at what we've always been told and just believing it to be the truth. We're going to choose our own path, find our own way. This energy, Neptune in Aries, is all about raising humanity to a higher plane of existence. Now, obviously, this can be done through peaceful, loving ways, or it can be done through antagonistic methods, but it's part of the purpose of Neptune in Aries energy. I mean, the last time Neptune was in Aries, two of the biggest features, I think, of the last time Neptune was in Aries was raising humanity to a higher plane of consciousness by the American Civil War over slavery. There was a realization slavery sucks. This is an exploitative campaign by the City of London, who had their fingers in the south of America, to make money out of human suffering and slavery. Disgusting. And we realized en masse, fuck this, pardon my language. But we also realized in Russia that serfdom was not good for the masses during Neptune's last transit through Aries. And so we gave that the bird as well. There's the rage coming out in me. No, we will not accept any longer serfdom and slavery. These are two very pivotal energies that I find powerful in the last scenario of Neptune in Aries. Neptune in Aries makes radical changes to life. This is an energy of change. Neptune is idealistic. Neptune is visionary. And so we can do this, these changes through peaceful ways. Hopefully that is more what happens, that we raise our consciousness because of a mass willingness to lift humanity, or maybe we might have to fight, like the Civil War, to bring it about. Antagonistic methods. Let's hope it's not that way. Let's hope that we just raise our consciousness through a passionate Aries passion, awareness of lifting humanity to a higher plane of existence. Now, in other ways that this might manifest, it's time to step out and start imaginative projects, my friends. If you've dreamed of doing a wonderful art series, if you've dreamed of making a film or writing a poetry book, this is now an energy that goes beyond the dream and takes it to a state of reality. Neptune in Aries makes radical changes in art, in literature, and in music. We're going to see this in the world, and we need this. We need this divine inspiration in our musical fields. And I've observed a lot of people waking up to who is controlling the music or has controlled the music for and the music industry, the film industry, the art industry for the last 100 years or so. And now people are waking up and going, well, I'm not interested in their controlled narrative. Now I want the real deal. I want true artistry that I can align with, that I can feel inspired by and uplifted by. I'm seeing people waking up to this more and more and more everywhere. Neptune in Aries is about artistically following our intuitive impulses and allowing the divine to express through us. And so rather than following en masse, we're told that we have to like this sort of music by some propaganda, or we're told that these are the films that we have to watch. No, we're going to be going for more Aries style film, music, and art and literature, which is more independent, more unique, more our own individualistic expression rather than an en masse type of expression. I'm excited by this. This is going to be a fabulous time for art and literature and music. Also, Neptune in Aries is a time to focus on our survival needs. Aries is the pioneer energy. Think about the pioneers. One of the films I loved when I was growing up was Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. A wonderful story about some pioneers in Oregon who are out there trying to make their way, make their livelihood, build their families, grow their communities. Gorgeous old musical. Check it out if you're into old musicals. But that's all about surviving the harsh winters in Oregon, and there's one scene when they all get snowed in for the winter and, they've got to all pitch in to make life work for themselves while they're snowed in during the winter. So it's a time Neptune in Aries, very much a time to focus on our survival needs. Pioneering energy, explorative, sort of individualistic. We're going to go out there, we're going to, establish ourselves in the world. Pioneering Aries energy is going to actually bring a lot of creative ideas to our survival as a human species, to our survival, and pioneering ways of making life work. So we're going to have a lot of creative ideas on how to survive, on how to make life work better for us in a pioneering sort of way. We're not all going to go live in, the hills of Oregon or anything like that, but we are going to have all these creative ideas on how to survive and thrive better, to be independent, to be self-sufficient. Moving on to another topic, we need to be very careful during Neptune's transit of Aries of idealizing, Neptune energy, idealizing battles of all types. Especially, we need to be wary of being propagandized and hypnotized and brainwashed, Neptune energies, into a narrative of war and aggression over the next 14 years. There is this risk that we could be deceived as a human population into thinking it's the right thing to send our young men and women off to be killed for some perceived greater good. Oh, the war on terror. Oh, the war on drugs. Don't even get me started. Okay. Don't get me wrong, my friends. There are times when military defense is required in nations. But let's face it, let's be honest here. Most wars are not fought for self-defense these days. They are fought so that elites can destroy nations, take nations' resources, run drugs, and traffic humans. This is what Abraham Lincoln was fighting against in the Civil War in America. And these are, fighting against such things, against running drugs, against trafficking humans, against elites taking a nation's resources and destroying nations' cultures. These are things worth fighting against, not fighting for. And it's a very fine line that we might get propagandized over, thinking we're fighting for the good when actually we're fighting for these elites who sit back in their cushy chairs like in the First World War, where the generals sat at home in their comfy chairs smoking their cigars and sent off young men to be killed en masse. We don't want that this time, and we need to be very conscious and very aware of being propagandized to go down that road during this Neptune in Aries time. So we need to have a very clear view, which can be hard to do when Neptune is in the sign of Aries, a clear view of war and what we're fighting for. It's disgraceful because most soldiers now, deep down, when they come back from war, they know that they've often fought for horrible causes. I mean, that was Vietnam, wasn't it? We need to be very careful of being pushed into wars that are for horrible causes that we actually don't align with. Okay, enough on that topic. I've rabbited on that. Another thing that can happen is that we might be encouraged to see glory in physical courage and warfare as well. We can find ourselves perhaps willing to battle over a cause that we consider sacred, not just physical war, en masse in the world out there, but our own personal battle, our own personal war over something we consider sacred. We can get really passionate about it. I just encourage you, whether it's mass scale or personal warfare, within your own heart and soul and mind, do your due diligence and determine the truth about what you're being asked to fight for and what your soul is pushing you to fight for. For many people during Neptune in Aries, Neptune blurs the lines of things. And for many people during this time, there can be a blurry line between spirituality and beliefs and war. People can actually, in the shadow side of Neptune, they can get arrogant and dogmatic and self-justifying over their warring behavior. So I just ask every one of us here, including myself, step into a level of consciousness about these things. Neptune in Aries times can actually cause many heroic people to rise up. Think about Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War. Absolute hero, idolized now by so many in America and around the world. Lord knows we need heroes now to rise up. After all the turmoil of the last few years, we absolutely need heroes, and this can happen during Neptune in Aries times. Frequently, heroes in more recent times in history, particularly political heroes, have been murdered. We can think of Lincoln, but we can also consider Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy. But there is also, and we have to keep this in mind, we have to keep this at the forefront of our mind, there is always the chance too that a hero will rise up like Odysseus in the Odyssey and overthrow the suitors, the parasites who are sucking the life out of nations and the people and the common man. It is worth rising up to fight against the suitors. Let's pray that Odysseus returns very, very soon, maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, during Neptune's transit through Aries. Talking about this heroic energy, you might enter into your own heroic personal crusade of sorts during the time of Neptune in Aries. So I just ask you, what are you needing to become a Superman or a Wonder Woman over in your own life? What do you need to take heroic action on in your life right now? Now, another thing with Neptune in Aries is we need to be careful not to miss the forest for the trees. We might be so intent on plowing our way down, going to achieve our goals, whatever it takes, I'm doing it. And the big picture becomes emphasized and we haven't got time for the small details. I'm a bit like that by nature anyway myself. Forget the details. What's the big picture here? That's my style. But Neptune in Aries can be very much like that as well. And sometimes there is need to look at the small details and the impacts of a certain small little, what we perceive to be insignificant component of what we're aiming towards. We maybe need to consider those things a little more. Pisces, where Neptune has been for 14 years, is a dual sign. It is represented by two fishes going in two directions, opposite directions. So Pisces, because of that imagery, can be quite a confusing influence. And these two fishes are tied by a line, tied by a knot together. And we can be not only confused about what direction we're taking, Neptune in Pisces energy, but we could also have our hands tied. We can be tied in knots. We might know in our heart, well, we should go in this direction, and this is the compassionate way to do things. This is the unconditionally loving way to do things, but my hands are tied. What can I do? I have to support my family. I can't go and make that stance because I need to provide, or whatever the situation may be. But we have certainly seen our hands being tied over the last 5 years, but even longer, perhaps during the 14 years of Neptune being in Aries, our hands have been tied in many ways, or we might have been going in two directions, or have had to go in two directions to survive and make ends meet and to get by. Now, Neptune in Aries is goal-focused. It is direct and it's driven. It knows what it wants. So we can achieve so much now, so much action, so much pinpointed energy. And that's why I say get your vision board in order. Know where you're going. Know what you want to achieve, because now you are going to be much more pinpointed in achieving that vision. Neptune vision in Aries, a goal-driven sign. Wrapping up Neptune in Aries themes that we're going to be experiencing, this is a time, Neptune in Aries, when we will grow skeptical of other people's opinions and beliefs. Maybe you'll grow skeptical of mine. You have a right to do that. You know, by now, after Neptune's transit through Pisces, many of us have mastered our own opinions. We've formed our own beliefs. We've formed our own ideals. And this is a good thing. I like this. It's healthy. We are less inclined now that Neptune moves into Aries to follow mass inclinations because we've established our own belief system. We've pioneered our own way, including our opinions and beliefs, and this is going to grow and increase while Neptune is in Aries. This, my friends, is a time of intense passion in our personal lives and in the world at large. We're going to see a lot of passionate things unfolding. Let's now go and look at some ways that it's going to affect the greater world through themes of Neptune and Aries. This is just my brief analysis of how some impacts might be felt. There's many more ways that these things can unfold, but this is my sort of breakdown of what might be happening in mundane astrology, and also it'll play into a bit of your personal life as well. Well, Aries is to fight, and we're going to fight for Neptunian themes now. We've already touched a bit on this already, but I was talking more personally. This is where we might see mass movements fighting for Neptunian themes. Compassionate causes are going to be fought for now. Helping the destitute is something, a Neptunian theme, that we might be fighting for. And certainly in Australia, with the over-migration they've allowed in this country, we have not enough housing for the people. And so many people are living in tents now. It's disgusting that this has ever happened. And so there could be a lot of pushback, if you like, against what they've done in that regard. Migration. Issues of migration are actually a Neptune theme. We're going to be fighting back against what they've done. And I know that the same can be said of Europe and England, Canada, where too much migration without a proper balance of, housing and employment and stuff has just not been considered. And there's a reason for that, and I mentioned it earlier. It's the elites trying to destroy nations because they don't want strong nations to fight back against them. So, okay, back to Neptune themes that are going to be fought for. Issues of migration will be fought about. Helping the destitute, people living in tents, we'll be fighting to help them get what they need to live a healthy, functional, flourishing life. We will also potentially be fighting over other Neptune themes. The common man is often ruled by Aries energy. The common man's rights to use gas resources, Neptune energy. That's a biggie in Australia. Australia, just for people who don't know, gives away most of its gas without even taxing any gas companies. And yet the people, especially in Victoria where I live, are not even allowed to use gas. This is our nation's resources available to the people of the nation. So, this is going to be something that will be fought over, I feel. The common man's right to have our own medical autonomy. Remember, Aries is autonomy, Neptune is medicine, and Aries is common man. We will be fighting over our right to govern our own bodies and have our own medical autonomy. We might be fighting over water rights and irrigation issues, Neptune themes. We might be fighting over petrol and oil, use of petrol and oil, how it's used, who it's used by, and so on. We might be fighting over certain opinions on drugs or opinions on alcohol that might come to the fore in some way. We might be fighting for the rights of creative artists to maybe retain the rights of their own work. I know Taylor Swift has been a big advocate for such things, and absolutely. I know, I think Paul McCartney's rights to his music were stolen from him, legally stolen, if you want to call it that, from him. But we might see creative artists fighting for their rights to maintain artistic control over their music. We might see people fighting over spiritual beliefs or occult beliefs, taking a stand for occult beliefs in some way. We might see some themes of Neptune being fought for regarding retirement concerns, fighting for people for their retirement package. This, unfortunately, I don't like to go too much down this economic road, but my husband David is a brilliant economist, and so we talk about these issues a lot, and the potential for people to have to fight over their retirement entitlements may come to the fore during Neptune in Aries. People may be fighting for holiday and annual leave rights, perhaps, as well, because holidays are ruled by Neptune. We can see people fighting, as was the last time Neptune was in Aries, for the abolition of modern forms of slavery and feudalism. We live in a techno-feudal society. My friends, check out the book by Yanis Varoufakis, Techno-Feudalism. Brilliant analysis of the feudalistic society that we've created ourselves through technology. We've created for ourselves, get my words right, through technology. And so we might be fighting against such things now. We might be fighting against, not fighting against, we might actually be fighting for our personal dreams, our personal desires, our personal visions, wanting them to manifest. It's a good thing to fight for those. We might also find that the angelic realm, Neptune is the angelic realm. The angelic realm is fighting for the common man. To my mind, this gives me goosebumps. Neptune in Aries, Neptune is the angelic realm, moving into the sign of the common man, Aries. Neptune, angelic realm, fighting for the common man. Think about it. Doesn't that absolutely blow your mind? I mean, look at what happened last time. End of feudalism in Russia, end of slavery in America. I mean, it took a while for things to unfold and, for their greedy fingers to get out of the pie in that regard in America. But it began with the Civil War. So, to my mind, beautiful examples of the angelic realm fighting for the common man. And it will happen again this time around. Neptune is now going to be in a sign of newness. Aries is new things, new beginnings. Aries is initiations, starting something new. And it's Neptune things in many ways that are going to receive some new initiations. Music, film, dance, art, literature, advances and new initiations, new beginnings in those realms. Bring it on. Fantastic. Can't wait. We might also see some new Neptune initiations with equipment related to such things, cameras, cinemas, recording equipment. So lots of new innovations that might come about because of that as well. We're going to see new types of spirituality form on the earth as well, and often independent spirituality, people just adhering to their own personal spirituality, but new movements, I think. We're going to see perhaps more spiritual and wellness retreats. Neptune rules escaping from the harshness of reality, and Aries is all about initiations. So there might be some spiritual retreats, wellness retreats, new types of escapist experiences that unfold now. We might be seeing new Neptune initiations in terms of the types of water sports that are out there. There might be some new water sports invented. We could even see records broken in existing water sports. Swimming records will be broken. Water polo records broken, marathon records that involve, triathlon kind of things that involve swimming and sailing and surfing and all those things. We might see new records and new innovations in those fields as well. Neptune rules alcoholic beverages and caffeinated beverages, any addictive beverages I might add, which is what I'm describing. And there might be some new initiations there, new new alcohols invented, new caffeine type drinks invented, new addictive drinks that come out on the market might be part of this Neptunian influence. And we might see new types of bars, new types of coffee shops, that sort of thing, which are associated also with Neptune. We might see some new medical ideals, innovative medical ideals and innovative medical inventions that come out of this time as well, which is a positive manifestation for this field. We might see healing. Healing is a Neptunian thing, and Neptune is also ruling any sort of alternative healing mechanisms. Yes, it rules drugs. Yes, it rules mainstream medicine. And of course, there's a shadow and light of Neptune in mainstream medicine, let me just say as well. But Neptune is also anything occult, which is hidden healing. So we're going to see, I feel, more alternative hidden types of healing practices that become that we have initiations over, like new ventures, apothecaries, hypnotists, people working in other sort of more hidden types of healing fields are going to get more prominence now, or established facilities. They probably won't be out in the open because the medical industry, certainly in the West, has done their best to railroad any alternative healing practices and mechanisms, but certainly apothecaries, hypnotists, naturopaths, herbalists, people like that are going to be more predominant out there, but in a hidden sort of way, I feel. We might see the initiation of prison reforms, and I know that there's many countries where that needs to happen, so that would be a really good thing, and hopefully Neptunian compassion will feed into that. We might see changes. Aries is an energy of change and initiation, and Neptune is associated with the law of the water, not the law of the land, but the law of the water. So we might see changes to the law of the water, or changes to maritime principles that unfold. Those who are aware of such things will know what I'm talking about there. We might also see Neptunian initiations of greater, and I've talked about this already, greater personal consciousness and greater initiation of mass consciousness. We're already seeing this happen. It's everywhere I go. Somebody recognizes, oh, you're a kindred spirit because you believe blah, blah, blah. And it's like high five in the shop when that happens, with the person over the counter. It's happening more and more and more as we recognize people on the same level of conscious awakening as us, happening all the time. It's wonderful. Now, this is where things perhaps might be a little bit heavy, but I will touch on it just the same briefly. Neptune is an energy of dissolving. Now, think about it. When you leave something sitting in the ocean for a time, it dissolves. It erodes away. Even metal will rust away when it sits in the ocean. Neptune rules the ocean. So as above, so below, or as without, so within. Neptune dissolves things. So Neptune is going to be dissolving Aries-ruled things during this 14-year period. What are some things that Aries rules? And this is in a big, large scale, okay? I mean, Aries rules all sorts, like fires and, war, machinery, and so forth. So there are other things Neptune rules, but on a big, large scale, Aries rules the military-industrial complex. Fingers crossed, Neptune dissolves that goddamn bane on reality, or, tumor on reality, well and truly away. The British Empire is also ruled by Aries. Britain is ruled by Aries, and of course we all know that Britain still has colonies all over the world. Australia is one, Canada is one, many in Africa and so forth. In fact, Britain is, or the British Empire is known as the empire where the sun doesn't set, because if you look at a map of colonies of Britain, they stretch all across the globe. The sun never sets on any of Britain's colonies, and they've kept it that way. It's the very occult reasons for why they've kept things that way. The sun never sets on the British Empire. it still exists, folks, to all those people who think it doesn't. But Neptune in Aries may very well dissolve that or begin a dissolution process. And I have read, and this is just a little tidbit aside, Bernadette Brady, one of my teachers who I adore, has mentioned that Prince William was born under an eclipse. That's no news to most people who are into astrology. He was born on an eclipse, but that eclipse Saros cycle happened to be established during the time of William the Conqueror, and that eclipse cycle is now coming to an end in the 2030s. So that's another evidence, to my mind, that Neptune may very well dissolve the British Empire that has been in place for hundreds of years. Well, what else does Aries rule that Neptune might be dissolving? Aries rules Israel, and it also rules Palestine. So I'll say no more on that topic. So, make head or tail of that as you will, but I'm not going to enter into that divisive argument here. Suffice to say, I do have an opinion on that one. But anyhow, the United Nations is also ruled by Aries as well. Guess what? We might see the United Nations dissolving. There's already rumblings in that direction that I have observed thus far already. So we shall see, won't we? Interestingly enough, Aries also rules Syria. And I do recall Lada from Astro Lada speaking recently about a prophecy from Bulgaria that went along the lines of when Syria falls, that's when we will see a real change and a rise in mass consciousness and change sweeping across the planet. So it is possible that, not that I wish ill upon Syria at all, I do not, but that if that prophecy is true, and Neptune ruling dissolution and Syria being an Aries-ruled country, it is possible that this may be the time of that prophecy manifesting. I don't say it's correct. I don't say it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that these are some themes that have been discussed and put out there. All right, my friends, that's enough of looking at the world and the influence of Neptune transiting Aries on us generally speaking, on world affairs. Now we're going to look at how it's going to affect all signs. So here we are, my friends, Neptune in Aries. If you have Aries rising, Aries sun, or Aries moon, you can consider this placement as relevant to you. The next 14 years might see certain things unfolding for you to do with Neptune in the first house, Aries. Now, I want to point out that I go into much greater depth with Neptune in the first house in my Neptune through the houses playlist, and I encourage you, Aries, to check out Neptune in the first house in that playlist series to find out more about what this will bring you. But just generally speaking, Neptune transiting the first house is going to transform your physical appearance. By the end of this transit, in about 14 years' time, you might have a more dreamy look, a more ethereal look. You might be more chameleon-like. Certainly, I've just gone through Neptune in the first house transit, and boy, did I go through a really intense process of change in what I looked like during Neptune in the first house. I spent time as a blonde, like Marilyn Monroe, platinum blonde, and a redhead. I was dressing very rockabilly at one stage, and then I went into a much more sort of floaty, ethereal kind of manner. Today I'm dressed country, there is this real like flexibility and flow that might come to what you look like and how you dress. So it might be that you might take on a more Neptunian style of presentation, which is more fairy tale like, more ethereal, more glamorous, more transcendent kind of appearance. You might find that you want to present yourself, or the aura that you give off to people over the next 14 years is much more soulful. You might have a great ability now that Neptune's in the first house to present yourself well in photographs. You might come across to people as being more Neptunian-like, more romantic, more dreamy, more glamorous. You might actually give the impression to people for the next 14 years that you are very compassionate and very sensitive, because that Neptunian influence will be felt in your aura. You might also find, to a level, depending on what's in your natal chart and how strong these tendencies are in your natal chart, you might find that you might actually receive gifts in channeling or receiving psychic impressions. And I would just encourage you, Aries, on that note, to be very careful of the energies around you, who you associate with, who you connect with, because you can soak up the energies of the people around you while Neptune's in the house of you. So you might be more influenced by energetic vampires, the kind of people who just drain you, who just make you feel like, oh, I feel exhausted every time I'm around them. So you might find that there's more people like that in your life, or that you're just picking up on people's negativity more than you otherwise would. So really, this is a time of surrounding yourself with positivity, with good friends who uplift you. Like I said, be very wary of who you connect with, who influences you. Be wary of what you listen to, what music you expose yourself to, what films you see, because there is more susceptibility to picking up on these subliminal messages that are present in, films and music and television and so forth. Be discerning, Aries. It really is so important for you. Neptune is a planet of dreams, and you might find that your dreams are very vivid and very prophetic now. So make sure you've got a dream journal by the bed for the next 14 years, because you are going to be getting a lot of prophetic influences. There's this, like I said, this chameleon-like quality here as well. So some of you might get very interested in acting or film or photography, where you can sort of take on different personas if you want to. And you can sort of wear a mask a bit more than usual, sort of pretending, if you like, through fantasy, through costume, through dress, to be different types of people. You might get a lot of joy out of that over the next 14 years as well. This is a time, yes, I was going to say I never felt this myself. But then I have a very strong Neptune in my chart, and Neptune was in its own sign, Pisces, when it was traveling through my first house. But for Aries rising people, your body might be particularly sensitive with this position. Neptune rules fluids. So at times over the next 14 years, you might experience bloating or fluid retention. You do need to take care of your lymph system as well. Be careful with medicines, because you might be more sensitive to medicines while Neptune's in the first house of the body. Neptune dissolves barriers, so there can be a low immunity for Aries people to bacteria, and so any sort of poisons, allergies, food sensitivities might go harder with you during this time. It's something to be aware of. Like I said, it didn't happen to me because of the nature of my natal chart, but it has been noted for people who have this transit. Fungal infections as well. You might also find that, especially if you work in the medical industry, you're more inclined to absorb maybe the physical pain of other people when they're unwell. Like, maybe you're a husband and you go into the labor ward with your wife and you're feeling the contractions. My God, what is this? You probably have a lot of empathy for your wife if you are experiencing that sort of thing too. You're absorbing the pain of other people. It might feel, and I'll vouch for this because I've just had Neptune transit my first house, that life moves more in waves, ups and downs, ebbings and flowings. It behoves you to learn to float, to just go with the good times, be stoic and enduring of the low times, knowing that the tide goes in and the tide comes out when Neptune is in the first house. Be careful of drug addiction. Yes, Neptune is escapism through drugs and alcohol. Everybody talks about that. But usually it's escaping because reality is too harsh, too hard. The good thing is Aries people are pretty tough. They face reality head on with a sword in their hand. So, sometimes people, if they've got other triggers in their chart that indicate addiction, and they're also an Aries rising or a sun or a moon, they may be more susceptible to drug addiction or alcoholism, sort of negative escapism during this time. More mature people can find that they're sensitized. They're picking up on people's emotions, and they understand where people are coming from more. Remember, my friends, Neptune's goal is to actually connect us to divine love, compassion, unconditional love, and so on. So Neptune in the first house will do whatever it has to do in order to accomplish that. And for some Aries people, as I said, depending on the strength of the Neptune in your natal chart, which I described in the beginning of this reading, it will be through difficulties. For others, it'll be through transcendence and higher Neptunian realm experiences. It might feel like there are magical events that seem to you, Aries, like some divine hand is pulling the strings of your life over this time, but that can also make you feel a bit out of control as well. You need to just let go, let God, allow that feeling of I'm out of control here, but I'm trusting the divine. Trusting whatever needs to happen is what needs to happen. Also, you might find that you are clearing a lot of things out of your life, getting rid of any unnecessary possessions or toxic people. This can be a very Neptunian catharsis, dissolving the boundaries that are keeping you from God and keeping you from manifesting unconditional love in your life. What an interesting one it's going to be for our beautiful Aries people. Now, for Pisces people who have just had Neptune moving through their sign for 14 years, you're going to have Neptune moving through Aries, your second house in whole sign astrology. This is Pisces sun, rising, or moon. I would encourage you to check out my Neptune through the houses playlist, Pisces. You're going to get so much more information, so much more depth out of that video, and you'll be wanting to look at Neptune transiting through the second house. Now, Neptune dissolves things, and this is the house of self-love. So sometimes we might find Neptune through Aries dissolves our self-esteem, our self-value, our self-worth. I will put my hand up and say, from the moment Neptune went into this sign on the 31st in Australian time of March, I started thinking those thoughts, feeling like, oh my God, my family, lets me down, and my friends always leave me, and blah, blah, blah. This is Neptunian victimhood, I might add. And I fully realize, I look at myself and I realize that is that Neptunian victimhood tape playing in your mind, Kesenya. Let that go. Turn away from that. It is just a thought. But this can be what Neptune does. So conscious awareness and a little bit of detachment is what is necessary to counter this self-esteem, like poor me, it's not fair, and I must be unlovable because nobody likes me, blah, 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 blah. To feel more worthy, we need to give back. We need to be unconditionally loving. This is how we work with Neptune energy. Neptune is compassion. So we need to give love and compassion to others in order to manifest more self-esteem and worthiness in our lives. So how can you help? How can you bless others? How can you be a gift of love in people's lives, my beautiful friends? Think about those things. Direct your thoughts there, and it will boost your self-esteem, and it will actually affect your finances as well, because this second house is a house of our material reality. So if we can boost our Neptunian unconditional energy, unconditional loving energy, compassionate energy, then we attract more of the good things into our lives. We are here to learn to give to others materially and emotionally and build other people's self-esteem, but we need to give it also to ourselves during Neptune's transit of the second house. So whatever helps you feel better about who you are and your place here on the planet and what you're doing and your mission in life, whatever you need to focus on to boost your self-worthiness, realize that you are deserving, you are worthy, then that can actually manifest more good things, more dreams coming true in the material realm for you in your life. Now, for some, it all depends on the nature and strength of your natal Neptune, which I described in the beginning of this reading. This can be an indicator that there could be, for some people, some ebbs and flows. Neptune has to do with the oceans. There can be some tide coming in and tide going out with financial issues and with material issues. Like you might have a car one day and not the next, that sort of thing. So do keep that in mind. It's a good idea, I would suggest, to think about investing a bit of your money into Neptunian things while Neptune is here for 14 years. Oil, the healing industry, astrology, psychology, art, medicine, music. These are Neptunian things. And so by investing in any of those realms or other Neptunian realms, if you want to know what Neptune rules, watch that Neptune transits the second house video. And you might see success flow your way because of that. With regard to this, we need to keep believing in the abundance of the earth. And the earth is abundant. Don't buy into that climate change narrative that says there's not enough. That's an elitist created narrative to destroy nations. So the resources of the gods are given to us to bless the nations, to bless humans, to bless our lives. We need to keep believing, not in austerity, because if you're a Pisces person believing in austerity, you're only going to get austerity in your own life for the next 14 years. But if you believe in abundance mentality, the gods give graciously of all the resources of the earth to humanity, then you can see abundance manifesting in your life. Mindset is everything. Neptune has to do with our vision, our imagination, how we visualize things. And really, my friends, keeping that beautiful vision of abundance before you, Pisces, is key during this time. This is part of manifesting Neptunian faith, and it will ultimately result in magic in your life. Eventually, as I spoke about the triggers that can cause Neptune influences to unfold in our life. Do check out the first part of this video where I broke that down. Now, sometimes you might find that you feel a little bit guilty about money over this duration of the next 14 years. You might be afraid to ask for the money you deserve for the work that you do. This is part of learning to appreciate yourself more and value yourself more. Demand your worth. Don't let others take advantage of you, Pisces, while Neptune transits through your second house. Don't allow yourself to get bitter when people have taken advantage of you, when they haven't appreciated you, when they haven't seen your value and worth. Rather, visualize yourself with all the abundance that you need. Imagine your financial success. Imagine the appreciation and value that you desire from other people. Again, we start to see the manifestation. If you're able, Pisces, to keep your hope and belief and love going throughout any struggles financially or in terms of worthiness during this transit, then you might find when the Neptune triggers are activated in your chart that magic happens in those realms. You manifest great financial success, strong self-love, beautiful, gracious, glamorous Neptunian material possessions, maybe beyond your wildest dreams. Possessions can appear and disappear by magic during this time. Learn to let go and let God, and use this time, as I said, to create this wonderful vision board, particularly with the material goals and things that you desire and things that will enhance your sense of worthiness. Keep that before you. That's the ultimate way to work with this energy, Pisces. All right, third house transit of Neptune is for Aquarius rising, sun or moon people. This is when you're going to be having Neptune moving through your whole sign, third house of Aries. And I would just encourage you, please, my beautiful Aquarius rising, sun or moon people, do check out my Neptune Through the Houses playlist, which has so much more information than what I've given you here. It is available on my YouTube page, that playlist, and you want to listen to Neptune transits the third house. Okay, so Neptune in the third house, it's all about communications and the use of words and how our mind is processing life. So you might see things or process life in a more poetic manner. You might be more intuitive for the next 14 years, more imaginative, more creative. You probably are going to develop that left brain approach to life with this transit. You can also have a really strong impact for the next 14 years on other people through your communication. So, using words to sort of hypnotize people or mesmerize people. It's great if you're a salesperson, and this could be, just what you want. But really good if you're a psychologist or working in advertising or marketing, because you're going to have the right words to captivate people, to, like Neptune energy is all about, mesmerize people in some way. There are going to be a lot of dreams and visions in a very pictorial form for you as well. Not just words, but pictures, images, because Neptune rules images. It's about photography and film. It's about art and sort of what we can see in our mind's eye. So you're going to really be drawn to imagery now, and you'll see the importance of imagery. We are a very visual, image-based society these days, after all. So you will see things in your mind rather than seeing words. And you might tend to learn through, because the third house is learning and Neptune is emotional interaction. You'll learn something most, it'll be ingrained in you most when there's an emotional connection to what you're learning. So boring, dusty old maths, if your teacher is teaching you 1 + 1 is 2, boring, it's not going to get imprinted on your heart and soul and mind. But if your maths teacher is giving you 1 + 1 is 2 with some sort of emotive scenario to describe 1 + 1 is 2, it's really going to hit home. It's really going to connect for you. So if you're learning something and it's dry and dusty, try and put it into a format where there is some visual capacity, some emotive capacity, and you will learn it so much better. Your learning will be expanded during this time by using visuals, using emotion. It's not about repetitive 1 + 1 is 2. No. There can also be, for some people, especially if you've got a child going through this transit, you might find that your child is real daydreamy for the next 14 years, which really sucks if they've just started their schooling life. They might be the child this is what I was when I was at school, staring out the window and imagining butterflies and seeing the birds flying through the air and wishing I was a bird up there flying with them. That will be your child, not focused on the spelling homework that he's got to do, lost in the head. So keep that in mind. And what I've just described, the way a person who is having a Neptune transit to the third house can learn is through that visualization and emotion. Keep that in mind for your child to help them through this period if they are experiencing Neptune transit through the third house. They're going to enjoy reading fairy tale-like stories or having those sort of stories read to them as well. There's also a very beautiful level of creative artistry that comes with Neptune transiting the third house. So, they might be producing, you or your child, whoever is having this transit, might produce beautiful poetry, creative writing, fine art, music. It gives a person just an ability to sort of even channel divinely inspired beauty. So that could be costume design, it could be writing fairy tales themselves, anything that comes from other realms that is like beyond the harshness of earth reality. So beautiful. Now, this is also a time for any Aquarius people that you can utilize this energy to help you overcome addictions. If you're having trouble sleeping, if you are having trouble giving up smoking or drinking or whatever, hypnosis is a Neptunian thing that affects the function of our mind, the channels, the neural pathways of our mind. Recently, I received a qualification in hypnosis, which I'm very proud of, and I hope to start sharing hypnosis practice with my audience at some point in the next year or so. I'm working on developing that at the moment, but there are many good hypnotherapists out there, and many ways you can use self-hypnosis as well to help you deal with overcoming addiction. It's so interesting. Neptune here, the planet of addiction, but also the planet of hypnosis, can help you overcome it through changing the neural pathways of your mind. It's also a good time over the next 14 years, Aquarius, to do past life regressions, etc. You might be very sensitized to what people are saying to you. You might pick up on people's feelings more than the words they're using during this time. You can have just a few other Neptunian things, a lot of compassion towards siblings at this time as well, you know, being very generous and unconditionally loving to siblings. There might be a mystery or something hidden about your siblings, you know. You might find out, for example, that you've got a half sibling or somebody that is part of your family that you never knew was part of your family. Sort of mysteries can come out in that regard. This happened to my husband. It's really like quite moving, but we were visiting my husband's auntie and uncle, and we mentioned the auntie's half brother, and she was like, oh yeah, my half brother. And her husband was like, you have a half brother? I had no idea. And of course that was quite shocking, so I wouldn't at all be surprised if my husband's uncle was having a Neptune transit through his third house at that time and found out about a family relative that he never knew existed. Okay, skeletons in the closet. Okay, Neptune also can dissolve information, or sort of put a fog over information, can distort information. So it can be difficult during this transit to pick out what is truth and what is not truth. And so you may need to find somebody who is like a real wisdom keeper in your life to keep, to refer to. Like, what do you think of this? Somebody who's not having a Neptune transit to the third house, who can see things more clearly, because information can get distorted. That's one of the shadow sides of Neptune moving through the third house. You might be seeing the big picture rather than seeing the small details that need to be seen. Because Neptune is karmic, keep yourself as honest as possible with your words and communications. You do not want to be lying and deceiving of others, because you will attract back what you put out. No mixed signals, no shonky business deals, no manipulating other people for your own gain. It's very unhealthy for your karma to get involved with anything like that during this time. Thank you, my beautiful Aquarian friends. Moving along to Capricorn rising, Sun and Moon people. Neptune is going to be transiting through your fourth house, and this is where so much change will now be happening for the next 14 years of your life. My friends, if you want to know more about Neptune's transit through the fourth house, you want to check out my Neptune Transits the Fourth House video in my Neptune Transits playlist. I go into so much more in-depth detail for your sign there. It's describing how that is likely to play out for you. But just to touch on things for about 5 minutes here now, the fourth house represents home and properties and lands. It represents our mother figure as well. So you might start to idealize memories of your childhood, memories of your mother, or you might start to idealize your mother if she's still with you. You might start to give more unconditional love to your mother, to your family. You may even start to receive more unconditional love from mother and family. This is particularly true if you have a strong and healthy Neptune in your natal chart. If your Neptune is not so healthy in the natal chart, it could indicate an absence from a mother, or if you're a mother, an absence from your children for some reason, a separation from your children. It could indicate that some family secret or a skeleton in the closet in the family comes out for you as well. I already spoke about this for Aquarius people. It's also potentially true for Capricorn people. It could mean that you are focused on a parent maybe who has an addiction. That might come to the fore as well. It could, in a positive way, indicate that your most nurturing parent might take on some Neptunian qualities during this transit. They might become artistic. They might become psychic. They might become spiritual. They might get more glamorous. Or they might actually sort of lose touch with reality in some way and start living in a fantasy world, and you're like, hey mum, hey dad, you're a bit sort of off with the fairies there, that kind of thing can actually happen. There may be a need for you to take care of your parents during this transit in some way. And that might just mean checking up on them on a regular basis. Do be careful of becoming some sort of martyr or savior to a family member during this time, and try to allow people to keep their autonomy, allow people to keep their independence wherever possible. Sometimes a Neptune transit of the fourth house can see us sort of, like I said, becoming a savior, needing to be the superhero in the lives of our family. And our family are like, oh, bugger off, and that can cause us to be overly sensitized and hurt and, oh, boo-hoo and poor me and victim mentality and my family doesn't want me. No, you're just overstepping the mark potentially, because Neptune blurs the boundaries. Neptune blurs the line of what is appropriate behavior in a family and what is not appropriate behavior. Even you might find that your mother might be, because remember the fourth house is associated with the mother, might overstep the boundaries. Neptune blurs the boundaries, dissolves the boundaries, and mum might be visiting every second day and driving everybody crazy. Mum, just let us live our own life, back off. That can actually happen too. So it's, if you're a mother, you might behave that way, or your mother might behave that way towards you. So these are some of the influences of Neptune here. You might find that during the next 14 years, you feel more comfortable living near some body of water, perhaps, or other Neptunian institute, maybe like an ashram or a spiritual kind of area. The ocean, a lake, a river, some sort of, like I said, a body of water, somewhere spiritual, somewhere isolated. Neptune is isolation. Neptune is islands. So you might find that you are drawn to living in places like that. But also, if not a place like that, you might find that you create a sanctuary, an escapist retreat in your home. So you make a home that's more calming, more peaceful, more meditative. Or if your home is not like that, in an area of, high crime or something like that, you might decide that's it. We're selling, we're getting out, and we're going to go and live in a place that's more peaceful, more calm. Neptune is far away places. Sometimes when we have a Neptune transit to the fourth house, we might live in faraway countries. We might go and live in a culture that's very different to our own during this time. Another way that we might use this influence in our home for the next 14 years is that our home can become more beautiful, more creative, more glamorous, like a retreat, more idyllic. One thing to be careful of in the home, though, during a Neptune transit is that there can be water damage, gas leaks, sometimes termites, although termites are often a Saturn or a Cato thing, but that can happen. There can be just damage to a home from Neptune associated things. Insurance is a good idea when Neptune is transiting the fourth house. You also need to be, if you're about to purchase purchase a property, be careful of hidden problems while Neptune's transiting the fourth house. It's very important, actually, to do double checking all the fine details, something that Neptune's not inclined to do. It blurs the boundaries and it's big picture. So you might need to get someone to just check the fine detail in any contracts you're signing regarding a home or a property as well, and make sure everything's above board. Neptune transiting the fourth house can bring changes to where you live. You often will see people move when Neptune transits the fourth house for various reasons that are too long to mention here, but certainly depending on the quality of the Neptune in your natal chart, it can be for good reasons if Neptune is strong. It can be for negative reasons if Neptune is weak, and I'll give an example of each of those. A positive reason might be, if the Neptune is strong in your chart, you want to go and live by the ocean. So you retire to the ocean, or you don't have to retire, you can just go live near the ocean because you want to do more surfing or just be in a more Neptunian environment. A negative expression of Neptune might be that you move to be that overbearing mother who's too close to her children. Oh, my child's moved to the other side of the country. I've got to move to the other side of the country to be near them. And the child's like, oh my God, I moved here to get away from you. That kind of energy can come to bear. Or we might move because I've been offended. Neptune is the victim in its lower vibrational expression. I'm a victim. Everybody's treating me mean and everybody hates me in this town. I'm out of here. I'm going to go and live in a different place. And so we run away. Neptune is running away. Neptune is escaping from the reality or the perception of reality that we might have. So that's some negative expressions of why we might choose to move when Neptune is transiting the fourth house. So I'm not saying one or the other is going to be true in your case. There's many, many ways that Neptune can express in the fourth house. I've just given you a couple of examples of positives and negatives there. Let's keep on running. We've got Sagittarius rising, Sun or Moon. Neptune for the next 14 years is going to be transiting through your fifth house, one of the luckiest houses in the horoscope. So cool to have Neptune transiting there, Sagittarius. Now, if you want to know more about Neptune's transit through the fifth house, I just encourage you, do check out my Neptune through the houses playlist. You want to look at video for transit through the fifth house. That's yours for the next 14 years. This transit's all about an increase in Neptunian fifth house related things, romance, love, soulmates. Neptune transiting here can give very romantic, idealized outcomes. So you might, if you haven't already fallen in love with your soulmate, you may just fall in love with your soulmate while Neptune transits here. Do check the quality of your Neptune though in your natal chart. I described how to do that in the beginning of this video, and it will show you whether you need to sort of have your awareness on about being deceived in love or whether you can welcome in a soulmate based on the quality of your natal Neptune. Sometimes Neptune in its shadow expression can give unrequited love experiences when it transits through the fifth house. Something to be careful of. Try instead, my friends, to keep the working with Neptune energy in mind, and that is to keep the faith. We talked about this in the introduction. Keep the faith about love coming into your life. Keep the faith about to avoid cynicism and avoid negativity. Keep the faith about romance in your life despite any sufferings in that realm that you might experience. The aim of Neptune's transit here is to connect you to divine love. Now, we don't always get divine love through a partner. You want to look for divine love in everyday life if you can, and find the joy. Fifth house is joy. Find the joy of divine love in everyday life, and it is out there if we have the eyes to see. An act of kindness, the snuggle of a little puppy dog, the way a mother might be interacting with her baby on the train or something. We can see divine love in so many facets of life if we are looking for it. Try to see divine love around you instead. And the more that you see and ingrain that beautiful divine love into your vision for life, the more you're going to start to feel it and experience it in your own life. Don't close your heart to love. Try and learn from any mistakes that you make in romance or that are made to you. Try and learn from those things. Try not to allow your mind to keep living in false illusion during the next 14 years as well. One example of this might be, maybe you are a woman who's been dating a married man for 10 years and he keeps saying he's going to leave his wife for you, but he never does. Why do you keep buying into that illusion? If there's no evidence, don't allow the negative side of Neptune to manifest its heartbreak in your life, okay? Sometimes the shadow side of Neptune is what unfolds, and we might be enabling of people who are doing the wrong thing, not loving us properly. It's better to be alone than to be an enabler of a heartbreaking situation. So that's something to be aware of. There is a shadow side to everything, and Neptune indeed has a shadow side in every house, but here in the fifth house especially. We also need to be careful of not falling in love with someone's faults rather than their good qualities. This is the transit when we can be like, I'll reform them. I'll change them. I'll make them into the best person, oh my God, no. Fall in love with a person's soul, with who they are, not who you think they can become. Neptune, remember, visualizes. Neptune dreams of something. And so that's why we can fall in love with somebody who's very, let's say, unworthy, because maybe they have issues and problems and stuff like that. And we fall in love with them thinking that we can transform them. If they fall in love with me, the power of love will change them. No. This is not a good Neptune energy to utilize here. We need to fall in love with who a person really is, not the illusion of who we think they could be. We might find, let's talk about some good quality stuff with Neptune transiting here, that you could fall in love with Neptunian-like people over the next 14 years. Musicians, artists, spiritual people. Now, on that topic, this is a very creative house, a house of creative intelligence. And so you might find that you have a tremendous amount of creativity flowing through you that expresses now for the next 14 years. This is also the house of children. And so you might find that there is a tremendous bubbling up of compassion for children in your life. You might find that you decide that you want to foster care children who are in need, which is a wonderfully noble and charitable thing to do. It can also be a heartbreaking thing to do. Very challenging when those children who need love and care and kindness are taken away by corrupt state systems that actually don't look after our precious children. But you might find that you can toughen up and deal with our shitty state system, or a government system with how they deal with home issues and children in violent situations, etc., and really do some good in the world. Hopefully many of you Sagittarius people can be tough enough to do that. Some of you might even become a source of inspiration to children, especially high school age children, with this placement as well. So you might find that you can take on the role of a mentor, or a source of heroism to somebody under this energy. I keep thinking about my son when he was young. Idolized Bear Grylls. Oh my God, thought Bear Grylls was the bee's knees, and we certainly loved watching Bear Grylls drink his own urine and other such wonderful things on his show. But this is what can happen. There can be, for Sagittarius people, you might be the one, hopefully not drinking your own urine, but you might be the one who some young person, a teenager or a child, is idolizing and putting up on a pedestal. Be worthy of that. Be the hero. Be the mentor. Beautiful Sagittarius people. This is a time where that might unfold in your life. Neptune, as we know, dissolves boundaries, so there might be a need. We've talked about love and romance, but there's also a need to perhaps be very discriminatory about sexual partners. Keep your awareness about you now. You can be perhaps a little bit more vulnerable if you're on the dating scene to hurt or abuse, even disease. I hate to say it. So I need to mention that. But in the best possible scenario, if your Neptune in your natal chart is super healthy and strong, then you might find the love of your life, the soulmate you've been waiting for, that beautiful heartfelt connection that is possible. Believe me, I'm a walking testament to that having happened to me when my Neptune matured at age 48. It may happen for you sooner through various other mechanisms, which I described in the introduction. But Sagittarius, you may be on the brink of that. And if you are already living with your soulmate, my Sagittarius friends, just know this Neptunian transit can help you step into divine blessing, divine beauty, and divine love with your partner over the next 14 years. So perfect. Thank you, Sagittarius. Moving along, we're going to look now at Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun and Scorpio moon people who are having this Neptunian transit for 14 years through their 6th house. And I just want to encourage you, check out my Neptune through the 6th house video in my Neptune through the houses playlist. It will be so much more succinct and in-depth for you about this particular transit. But the 6th house is our daily routines and our activities and how we structure our everyday life. Neptune does not do particularly well here by transit. and also by natal position, because it's kind of an opposite energy to Neptune. Neptune's more 12th house. 6th house is opposite. And so Neptune doesn't want the structure of everyday life. It wants flow. It wants lightness of being. And so it can be very difficult to sort of organize yourself and ground yourself over the next 14 years here. The more you're able to keep your daily reality flowing and changeable, the more you can live with, perhaps without, a sense of stability. This may be actually, the more you can do that, the more you can have success. So being free in your heart and soul and mind. Okay, well, if I'm not going to live there, then I'm happy to live there. Or if this is not my work today, then I'm happy to do that work today. Be flowing, be flexible, and be willing to change. This is the kind of place where we could see somebody working 2 days a week from the office and 3 days a week from home. Be flexible, be open to lots of change in the workplace, open to lots of change in your day-to-day routine. Now, you might find that work takes on a more Neptunian tone to it, actually. You're working in more compassionate fields, medical fields, healing fields. You might be working maybe in to do with sort of some sort of advertising or marketing. This is a position for the next 14 years for people who can do very well if they are already artists, astrologers, potters, painters, advertisers, actors, farmers, fishermen, people who are designers, people who are working in sort of psychic and spiritual realms. And if you're in those fields, this is one of the strongest transits that you might have, because it can bring blessing to you for the work you're doing. Neptune gives the miracle outcome. So while Neptune's transit for the everyday mundane life that most people are involved in can be challenging and difficult, because we need to learn to flow. If you're already doing a Neptunian type of occupation, you're going to flourish. You're going to blossom. Dreams can come true with those things now for you. You might get the job of your dreams, the workplace of your dreams. You might be able to work in an environment that gives you more freedom to come and go as you please, or to work in a more unstructured manner. If you own a business, then Neptune can also represent the 6th house represents the employees that you hire, and they're likely to be very Neptunian. They might be more creative or imaginative. They might be quite a healing personality to have in the office now. So this can be a blessing for our Scorpio people if you're an employer. Now, this is also the house of health. And so this can be represented by Neptune's transit here. If you've had a strict health routine for your life so far, then keeping that up might be challenging for some reason or another over the next 14 years. You might, for some reason that maybe you can't control, need to be a bit more flexible with your health routine. Maybe you can't go to the gym after work every day. Maybe you need to mix it up a little. Maybe, you need to sort of take the health routines that are available to you with the time frame that you've got. Do be careful as well. Neptune through the 6th house can actually give sort of addictive tendencies. It can give you sort of problems with your health that are a bit difficult to diagnose. Lethargy, not knowing why you're tired, or problems with the absorption in the gut because the digestive system is seen through the 6th house. Can also be autoimmune system problems. And I'm not saying this is what's going to happen for everyone, but this is the shadow side of Neptune that we need to be aware of. And if you experience difficulties, then you need to look for alternative healing methods. Okay, mainstream medicine, not so good when Neptune is transiting here. You would be best off to go and maybe see a psychic or an apothecary, a hypnotist, Chinese medical practitioner. These people who do alternative medical work would be better to spend your time and money and effort on. There are many people out there doing good work in those fields, but do try and get a good recommendation, because there are some charlatans as well. That's another thing that Neptune can give. Neptune can pull the wool over your eyes thinking someone's doing you the world of good, and they're actually a load of crap. So get a good recommendation from somebody you know who's been to see an alternative healer, and utilize the people who've got a good reputation basically for healing when Neptune's transiting the 6th house. But but certainly alternative healing is a good mechanism to employ during this time. Thank you, Scorpio. Libra rising, sun and moon people. Well, Neptune is transiting through your 7th house, and I would encourage you to listen to my Neptune through the 7th house video in my Neptune through the houses playlist, available on my YouTube channel. It's free. Check it out. It's got so much more detail than I'm going to have time to give you here in this video. Now, this is the house of relationships, and with Neptune here, we might find that we just have an illusion about relationships, for positive or negative, but as rose-colored glasses. So if you're in a relationship, you might find that you're just in a state of bliss for the next 14 years. If you're looking for a relationship, you might find a soulmate that comes into your life and transforms your life through love. Unconditional loving energy that flows between the two of you for the next 14 years. An example of this in their natal chart is Paul McCartney. And let's say Paul and Linda McCartney certainly had a beautiful example of Neptunian soulmate love in their lives. But equally, Paul McCartney was deceived by his second life partner that he had, who tried to clean him out for all he was worth. And Neptune transiting through the 7th house can give either way. So you want to have clarity about who you're falling in love with, okay? Neptune in its shadow side can give you a partner that you think is one thing but turns out to be another. It can be a very difficult transit, but it can also be the most blessed transit when it turns out that a person is your soulmate. So getting some clarity is kind of essential here. How do we do that? I mean, you know, our friends often have an agenda with regard to who we're in a relationship with for one reason or another. So it might be good to get some unbiased counseling or advice from a relationship guru of some description about the person that you are falling in love with or connecting with in some way. Neptunian ideals and dreams can come true with regard to partnership. Remember that I spoke of in the introduction, keeping the faith. So if you happen to go through a tough time with a relationship, I'm not saying that you need to stay with that person regardless of what they do to you. No. But keep faith in divine love, in the existence of a soulmate. Whether it comes, as I said in the introduction, for you in this lifetime or a future lifetime, hold out for that beautiful, true, worthy love relationship if you can. And remember, when we keep the faith and we have a strong Neptune in our natal chart, as I said in the introduction, sometimes true soulmate love will arrive and the miracle of love will happen in our life. The miracle of connection and commitment can happen. So that's a blessing for our beautiful Libra people, but we can also find that we can run the risk of being deluded in relationships. We also need to be careful of not enabling our partners, to take advantage of us, or to be lazy, or to be addicted to substances. We need to be very careful about partnering with people who use us this way and leave us hanging out to dry, like Paul McCartney's second wife. We can also feel that we have to be a savior in relationships. Neptune shadow energy can be like that. Compassion is wonderful, and certainly Librans are capable of a lot of compassion, but an enabling or a savior complex, these are not healthy in relationships, and it's something that you need to be very aware of during this transit, not going down that road. Be aware of the weaknesses of your partner, but be realistic about their ability to be changed, be healed, be saved, whatever. Keep your soulmate ideals, and even throughout these difficult times, like I said, and disappointing relationship lessons that may come during this time, eventually, like I am very happy to share, can happen through my own story, you have the capacity to attract true soulmate love in your life. Don't lose heart. Keep believing in your ideal. Visualize your soulmate in general terms. It's unhealthy to do it in specific terms. I want Joe Bloggs from work to fall in love with me. No, keep it general. I want someone with these characteristics, these traits. Eventually, God will send you the more high quality partner than you ever expected if you can learn to let go and let God and trust. And on that topic, Just the other day, I found something I'd written in 2018 and 2019, a prayer I'd written out asking for my soulmate love. And I read the description and the generalized visualization I had, and I described a scenario that we would be living together. I found this and I said, David, look at this. It was exactly the scenario that David and I live almost day to day. To use some specifics, it was I was talking about someone to sit in front of the fire with and share novels with, or films that we love together, someone who we cook in the kitchen together. It was just very generalized, day-to-day, mundane life, but how beautiful. And I'm like, Dave, this is exactly how we live our lives. Look at this. It's you. And he read it, and yeah, it was the exact description of the life that we have together. So again, vision boards are so important. And certainly as you enter into this transit of Neptune, through your 7th house, visualize the kind of relationship you want to have. Now, if you're already in a relationship and it's not floating your boat, visualize the kind of relationship that you dream of. And you might find that over the next 14 years, that relationship evolves into the relationship you dream of, or dissolves away, so that the ideal relationship can come in. But without a vision, Neptune can't do the work. You must know what it is your heart desires. And just on that topic, because this is the house of partners, you might find that partners become more Neptunian now. They might become more spiritual. They might become more creative. They might travel more. Or you might do a lot of traveling with a partner for the next 14 years. There can certainly be a healing capacity that is present in your relationships now that can heal you and change you and restore you. That high level unconditional loving influence of Neptune through this house. So I find this beautiful for our Libran friends. You are going to be healed by love. You're going to receive unconditional love at the highest peak and quality of Neptune energy, because your partners will be embodying more of that high level Neptunian energy. Moving on, Neptune for Virgo, rising sun or moon people, will be transiting through the 8th house. This is where you're going to experience the influence of Neptune for the next 14 years. And I would encourage you to listen to my Neptune Transits the Houses playlist, which is available on my YouTube channel, and listen to the Neptune through the 8th house video. That is your video for the next 14 years. My friends from Virgo land, Neptune is in the 8th house, is an extremely psychic and spiritual position. Neptune dissolves boundaries, and here in a house that has to do with the gateway to other dimensions, oh my gosh, you, my beautiful Virgo friends, are going to have capacity to experience the divine in ways you may not have experienced before for the next 14 years. You might find yourself astral traveling or having more paranormal experiences, more psychic downloads, more visions, more prophecies, more goosebump inducing moments. But you also, Virgo, need to be very careful of predatory influences and more negative occult energies, because the boundaries between those things now can be dissolved. So learn protective techniques to prepare yourself for the next 14 years. That's prayer, visualization of protection energy around you, surrounding yourself with angelic or divine presence. This is a house of inheritances, Virgo, and money. Money that belongs to other people, unearned money, money that you don't earn through your own endeavors. So really we need to make sure that we are as honest as possible with our money during this time. We need to avoid dishonest financial dealings during this time, and really keep our integrity, because remember I said in the introduction, Neptune is a karmic planet. What we put out will come back to us. And so if you're putting out a lack of integrity with money, or managing other people's money, or dealing with a will or something like that, you're going to cop it back perhaps tenfold, and relatively quickly, I would suggest as well. So we need to be forgiving of others and generous with our resources. Yes, that needs to be the case most of the time for most people, but we need to, we need to be as honest as possible in our dealings with finances and avoid dishonest financial dealings. As I said, in past lives, if you've got a good Neptune, and I described how to tell whether you've got a good Neptune or a challenging Neptune in your natal chart, with good aspects, this is an indication that you might receive some sort of benefit or karmic reward from your good behavior in past lifetimes. Good behavior, I sound like a school teacher, don't I? From your compassionate, loving, generous nature in a past lifetime, you might get an inheritance or a reward or some sort of a financial remuneration that comes to you this lifetime as a karmic return. So this could be very good for those of you who have strong, powerful Neptunes that are showing good karma in the natal chart. You might also find that money magically appears, through unearned means for you. You discover, oh my gosh, Auntie Beryl from, Germany left me a fortune. I didn't even know I had an Auntie Beryl in Germany. Money magically appears maybe at the right time, just by the skin of your teeth when Neptune moves through the 8th house. This is also the house of our spouse's money. And if you're looking to get married, be careful not to marry for money while Neptune is transiting the 8th house. You might find that there are some sort of hidden mysteries, hidden surprises about your partner's finances and resources. Marry for love, marry for soulmate connection. But when Neptune's transiting through the 8th house, don't marry for a person's money because you could well be deceived. Shadow energy of Neptune. Let's talk about other things besides inheritances and money. The 8th house has to do with conspiracy theories, actually. It's about digging deep, researching, and often people who've got a lot of planets in the 8th house are not afraid to face the darkness of conspiracies. And this is why astrology is an 8th house topic. It's a hidden occult topic, 8th house, but also a lot of astrologers are not afraid to face the truth about the reality of the world we live in because they usually have 8th house placements. But with Neptune moving here and dissolving boundaries, be careful what you believe, because this is an influence that might cause you to align with some of the strange conspiracies that are really far-fetched and ungrounded that are out there at the moment. And believe me, I can name at least 2 off the top of my head that have become very predominant in the last 5 years. Ironically, during heavy COVID years, these things rose up. You could be absolutely deceived by some crazy theory. So it pays to keep as grounded as possible, to double check everything, to do your own in-depth research so that you don't get the wool pulled over your eyes and spend 14 years advocating for something that's a load of bollocks. Now, the 8th house is also sexuality. And with Neptune transiting the 8th house, you might experience connection to the divine bliss, divine ecstasy through sexual experience. And sex becomes not about a body connection, but about a connection of the soul. It's powerful and it's beautiful energy. Neptune can actually dissolve any barriers between the divine when you have a sexual experience. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go out and find a partner. You can have these kinds of ecstatic divine experiences on your own, my friends. So don't feel like, oh, well, it's not going to happen to me because I don't have a partner. No. Neptune brings divine sexual experience that can really open your mind, your heart, your soul in so many ways and empower you through that ecstatic experience. So I'm excited for Virgo people because you can really transform your life. This is a house of transformation through such things, and entering into the divine realm through such things at this time can completely change your life. Remember to keep that beautiful vision of what life can be before you and utilize sexual energy to help bring that vision into being. Also during this time, during this transit, you can see the potential in other people and the possibilities. You can have a vision for other people at this time. And so it really helps if you are in any kind of a psychologist role or an advisor role or a counselor role. You have a great capacity to see the self-worth and the value in other people through this beautiful movement of Neptune. Couple of other things I'll just touch on. You can receive inheritances as if by magic. I've already talked about that. But you can also discover some sort of hidden funds, things that have been kept secret from you that maybe were there all along financially. So I just had to, make sure I covered all bases on that one. Thank you, beautiful Virgo friends. Moving right along, lucky Leos. Okay, so for 14 years, Leo, you are going to be having Neptune transiting through your 9th house, which is Aries in whole sign astrology, which is what I'm using here. A very powerful placement, a very auspicious and blessed placement to have Neptune moving through this area of the chart. I want to just say that, Leo, if you would like to know more about Neptune moving through the 9th house, then you need to check out my Neptune Through the Houses playlist and look for the video about Neptune's transit through the 9th house. That one is going to be specifically for you for the next 14 years, and I go into great depth with what it's all about for you there, much more than you'll get here in this video, which is just a small taste of what's going on. This is a very prophetic placement. So you might find, Leo, that over the next 14 years, increasingly as the years progress, you might become quite the prophet or prophetess, might become more of a natural seer, being, the kind of having experiences of prophetic dreams, or really good at predictive astrology, or doing some other type of prophetic using some other type of prophetic skill in some way might become very powerful and strong for you over the next 14 years. This is also the house of beliefs, and with Neptune moving here and transiting here, your beliefs, your ethics, your ideals will become quite utopic, very visionary, very much about what is good for all of humanity, very compassionate ideals, very compassionate beliefs and ethics. So this is really exciting, because sooner or later, over the course of this 14-year transit, you'll begin to manifest these ideals in your life if you hold on to your faith that they will manifest for you. Remember, I said in the introduction that Neptune's energy is about believing despite everything around you being to the contrary, holding on to faith, and eventually the miracles can manifest. Quite a fantastic and powerful influence if we can meet the Neptune challenge. So the third dimensional reality can be quite difficult and challenging. We all agree with that. But here in the 9th house of the divine realm, of the heavenly realm, of messages from the gods, you are going to really be able to channel, as I said, those messages, that guidance, that information from the divine that can lead you to making right choices, that can lead you to doing things for the greater good and for your own personal good. And in Vedic astrology, this is the house of fortune. And so, keep believing that the universe has your back, that the universe is actually benevolent and caring despite the harshness of three-dimensional reality. And you will eventually see throughout this 14-year period, especially when your natal Neptune gets a triggering, or Neptune transiting here triggers any natal planets that you might have there, that you will eventually see miracles happen through the power of your beliefs, through the belief in the divine and its love for mankind. It's hard when we hear people say, there is love for mankind, or the universe has the best in store for us. When we look around us and we see poverty, we see people living in tents, can't feed themselves, we see child abuse, we see, single mums having to live in cars because they can't afford a home with their children, horrible things, and the abuses are just mind-boggling that go on this planet. And it's very hard and very harsh to keep believing in the greater good. But one thing that gets me through, and I'll just share this with you as a bit of a sidetrack here, Leo, is the recognition of the Yuga cycle. I did an interview with Joseph Selby on my channel in my astrology discussions playlist not very long ago about the Yuga cycle and how it works, and how we're currently in this low-level hell realm that we're moving out of over many, many, many incarnations. It's a reincarnational belief back to the heavenly realm, which is not up there and out there and something beyond us. It's actually a time period known as the Golden Age. And that gets me through when I look around and see things are not the way they should be. As a Pisces rising person, I definitely want to see more of a utopic world than I actually see around me. And we all can relate to that, I'm sure. However, the belief in the Golden Age and the knowledge that, okay, this lifetime mightn't be perfect, and it's far from it, and I've got to be stoic to endure it during this hell realm age. Hesiod wrote about such things. I have to be stoic during this hell realm age, but if I keep the faith, not just for this lifetime, but for many incarnations, then the miracles are going to be beyond belief. The manifestation is going to be so beautiful, so divine, so heavenly, it will knock my socks off. So I hold on to that when I find that times are tough, life is difficult, the world is horrific, and nobody seems to be doing anything to stop the horrificness. But the power of your belief can bring miracles, if not in this lifetime, then in other lifetimes. And I really think that for Leo people, diving into philosophies such as this, that are very, let's face it, quite utopic philosophies, quite miraculously oriented philosophies, are going to really float your boat over the next 14 years. And so you'll probably do a deep dive into a lot of these things, to, research into maybe the Yuga cycle and who wrote about it. I can tell you Plato wrote about it, Hesiod referred to it, Shuri Yukteswar also. The list is quite extensive. And that's another thing that Neptune will bring you during this 14-year transit, a deep dive into spiritual philosophies that are uplifting, that are inspirational, and that are divinely inspired. One thing to be careful of, though, my friends, is becoming a Neptunian victim of some guru, some cult, somebody whose intuition is a bit off, a teacher. Teachers are seen from the 9th house, and the shadow side of Neptune can sort of take you down that road of, drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak. That's a whole other topic. Oh my God, I won't get into that one. It was certainly, I don't think people voluntarily drank the Kool-Aid, just put it that way. But anyhow, this is the idea of, Neptune in shadow, in its gone sour condition in the 9th house, where we have a guru who's a bit off or not quite on the money, And so just be careful. Again, we need to double check, our who we're following. Look into their stance. Do your research on the person as best you can to really find out the truth of who they are, and also maybe ask around for other people's opinions who are not Leo rising, people whose opinions you value, so that you don't hook in with somebody who it leaves you feeling disillusioned and disappointed. Neptunian shadow side energy. Hold on to your ideals, hold on to your beliefs in the 9th house transit of Neptune, so that you don't become cynical. And if you can do that, you can manifest your dreams, especially as this cycle draws to a close in 14 years. Don't give your power away to other human beings. It's better to actually trust in your own divinity. And the blessing for Leo people is actually that this is in the sign of Aries, which is very individualistic spirituality. And so while there is that threat, let's say, of the shadow side of Neptune's transit, there is also the empowerment of Neptune being in Aries, giving you your own independent spirituality, trusting in your own divinity, believing and knowing that you are God incarnate in human form, having a human experience based on the structure of your chart, the nature of your chart that you were born into. The divine wants to know itself through experiencing that moment in time, which is you, Leo. So there is the potential that some Leo people, because Leo is a leadership sign, and so is Aries actually in the ninth house, some of you may become something of a guru yourself, or a leader yourself, a mystic, somebody with a lot of knowledge to give on spiritual insights and philosophies. And if you're coming from very virtuous motivations, then Neptune can make you quite an exalted life teacher during the next 14-year transit through this house. You might also benefit a great deal, Leo, from foreign travels, or dealing with foreigners, having foreign clients and foreign relationships, especially when they're based on a Neptunian theme. Like maybe you've got lots of foreign clients and you're a great art dealer or something, and a lot of your clients are from foreign countries. You know, art is Neptune and its highest manifestation, and you might have a lot of clients, like I said, who are in other lands. I'm an astrologer, I'm a Leo sun person. Most of my clients do come from international places. I'm based in Australia, but most of my clients are international to me. And so that's another example, like that clientele where I give my astrological insights to may grow over this period because most of them are foreign. Neptune is spiritual work, and astrology is a type of spiritual work because, yes, it's scientific, but it's also based on philosophy. It's based on spiritual wisdom and guidance as well. So higher learning is a ninth house thing, and astrology does require a level of higher learning to truly understand and truly master. It's not just I can know astrology from memes on Instagram. Astrology is far, far more complex than a meme. So yeah, you might become some sort of teacher, like I said, or dealing with foreign people and cultures in some way. You might travel to foreign cultures. I'm excited about this as a Leo sun person because Neptune is retreats. Neptune is escaping the ordinary and the everyday, and something that David and I, my beautiful husband, and I have been dreaming of ever since we met actually, is being able to put on retreats and travels to faraway places for people who are spiritually and esoterically minded to explore various places of energetic significance with us and to explore the stars together. So with Neptune moving into this area, retreats, escaping, esoteric knowledge, hidden knowledge, occult wisdom, in the realm of the ninth house, faraway places, we might finally see our stars over various parts of the world, tours that we have been trying to launch really come into being, really start to manifest for us. This is exciting for me. And I do hope that everybody watching this will at some stage over the next 14 years be able to join David and I in some of our stars over various parts of the world retreats. Now, Neptune here can also indicate that you might be very interested in obtaining a degree, because the ninth house is degrees, like higher level learning in something Neptunian. So philosophy, psychology, fine arts, also Leo, astrology could also be included here, or some other esoteric practice. And with that in mind, if you would like to do the Royal Stars Academy, I am preparing to launch very soon the Level 3 Advanced Astrology, but you can start with introductory or do intermediate and join me for advanced if you would like, or you can just do one level if that's all that interests you, to understand astrology at that higher level. And so that is also an element of ninth house Neptune energy. Now, when Neptune transits the ninth house like this, we can travel to exotic places a lot more, which I've already illustrated. We can undertake higher Neptunian learning, which I've also illustrated. And we might find ourselves, just to round things out and bring things back, Leo, getting involved with more evolved, utopic belief systems. So not that we join a cult or anything, that's something we need to be careful of and avoid, but we might align with something more spiritual, a belief that's more spiritual, or something more utopic. Again, I'll just reference Joseph Selby and the discussion we had where he's part of a group of people who align themselves to the belief of Shura Yukteswar. This is not so much aligning yourself to a guru. This is much more about, I've discovered Stoicism or Epicureanism or something like that, and that is what I'm going to live my life by now on an individual basis, because the sign, after all, is Aries, the individual. So that's my gist of things for our beautiful Leo people. Remember, it is a house of fortune as well. So with Neptune here, miracles can happen in a very fortuitous way, and the goddess Fortuna may just smile on you from time to time, my beautiful Leo friends, over the next 14 years. Moving along to Cancer. My beautiful Cancer rising, sun and moon people. Well, you guys are, because you're a cardinal sign, this means that Aries is on an angle to you, and you're having a Neptune transit through Aries for 14 years in the 10th house, an angular house, which makes it very, very important for our beautiful Cancer rising sun or moon people. Now, if you want to know more about Neptune's transit through the 10th house, I suggest you look at my free Neptune Through the Houses playlist and find the video all about Neptune's transit through the 10th house. You will find so much more in-depth information there that's really going to bless you and knock your socks off. But for now, let's have an overview of Neptune when it transits through the 10th house. Neptune, I have this natally. And I have to say, quite frankly, Neptune in the 10th house can bring confusion with regard to career and vocation. But as time progresses, we start to be guided by the divine into our true purpose, our true calling. So keep the faith. Keep the faith during the next 14 years, my friends, as the confusion about, well, I've been working in, corporate culture for 20 years and I'm so sick of it and I just want to move into something different, but I don't know what. Where can I change to that will still be a prosperous avenue for me to use my skills? You might be very confused about what the next step is with career, how to utilize this energy, but trust in the divine, trust in the timing, go with the flow, follow with what the universe is leading you to, and especially follow your heart and your intuition, and trust that it's going to take you to the right place. Because Neptune here will create confusion with your job or your career aspirations and the things that you desire in terms of worldly achievement. But ultimately, if you keep the faith, it can bring a great deal of blessing. Now, that said, I'm not saying that you should throw out everything, stop the everyday dance that we all have to do to survive. I'm not saying to do that and, chuck it all in and go start a podcast or something. Please don't do that. Please use wisdom as well as trust and intuition. So in that scenario, you would keep your day job and work hard to build your podcast, if that's what you wanted to do, for example, during the evenings, and work on it that way until it's at such a point where, my God, look at this miracle Neptune has brought me through my hard work. My podcast is so successful now, I can give up my day job. Woohoo! That's a miracle, in this day and age with everybody wanting to, do alternative kind of things for careers. To be able to succeed is a real beautiful blessing from the divine, and certainly Neptune can bring you that blessing over the course of this 14-year transit. So hold strong to your dreams, hold strong to your ideals, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, can I just say. I don't want to see anyone on the streets or living in a tent or anything like that as a result of not preparing adequately, just simply letting Neptune flow in without a bit of Saturn involved as well. And on that topic, Saturn will move into this area of the chart for the next 2 years, helping you to build a strong foundation for your career future based on your intuition, based on your heart. So thumbs up there. Careers that are structured and corporate, I've already alluded to this, are going to feel a little bit unsatisfying over the next 14 years. Neptune doesn't like structure and order. Neptune works better with inspiration and creativity and going with the flow. So look for the open doors. Look for God's omens and signals that are going to indicate the right path for you to walk down. Be aware and be open to following those directions. Don't just poo-poo that opportunity that presents itself. This is an energy of no control over career direction, really, while Neptune is here. It's about trusting the divine. Trusting the universe is an imperative. So, and it can take time. Neptune is infiltrating. Neptune's like a mist that comes in slowly, creeping in. It's not like a lightning bolt like Uranus does. This is much more of over time, which is why you don't just dive right in. You take your time, allowing the infiltration to build and build and build until the miracle blossoms and manifests for you. So keep positive about your dreams for your career. Once, I'm not saying you're going to be super clear about them, but you'll have an inkling, you'll have an intuition, and as time progresses, it will start to reveal itself through the mist and the fog more and more. Keep your positivity, keep your belief, even in the face of career frustrations, and you will see the miracle as Neptune gets triggered in your natal chart, and as Neptune by transit triggers certain points, particularly your MC, throughout this transit. It might also be helpful, I would suggest, to have a mentor to assist you in giving structure, in giving direction to help you achieve your worth and to create the career it's not just off in the ethereal realm, but it actually works in the 3D dimensional life where we're living here. Now, there can be, because Neptune rules the oceans, there can be an energy, Cancer, that I'm sure you're familiar with, of ebbs and flows regarding career. Tide comes in, career's going well, tide goes out, oh my gosh, I've got to try and make ends meet some other way while I run my career on the side. Tide comes in, okay, I can give up my side job and I can focus on my career again. There are ebbs and flows regarding career, and there can be ebbs and flows of your own passion regarding careers that you are trying to. In fact, over the next 14 years, you might dip your toe in that arena, try a bit of that, try a bit of this, as you search for the dream career that Neptune wants to ultimately bring you over the next 14 years. Again, keep your vision and dream. If it's general, alive, no matter how many people poo-poo your ideas. Like I said, I've got this Neptune in this position of Neptune in my own natal chart, and certainly, with my astrology, my whole family's like turned up their nose at the idea of Kesenya being an entrepreneur, and with regard to her astrology, they absolutely detest it, to be quite frank, and it's been very hard with that. But I'm stubborn and determined, and I've held on to my vision and my dream of sharing astrology knowledge with as many people as I can to help people ultimately live their best life. That's the whole point of why we do this. So this is an example. Again, keep the faith regarding your ultimate purpose. Now, that said, I've tried many things with my astrology work, trying to find, what suits people best. I remember I did a series of t-shirts a few years ago that had the astro wheel with your own birth chart on it. They did terribly. I think I sold 2. So that was not a good experience, not a good venture. But it's part of the Neptune energy to sort of dip my toe in that and dip your finger in that and just see what works and what doesn't work. So you'll be trying many, many different things as you search for the manifestation of your dream career and dream life. Now, if you are in regular employment and you're very happy in your regular employment, this energy can be pertaining then to a boss. And you might find that bosses can become very Neptunian during this time. There's a positive and negative to this. The negative could be that they might promise you things and then not deliver. The highest manifestation is that they might be very charitable bosses, very, artistic, compassionate, maybe a little bit dreamy and utopian with what they're trying to do as a leader in the workplace. So these are some of the energies of Neptune transiting here that can affect not just you, but the hierarchies that you're involved with, the bosses. Also, I would suggest, because this is the realm of the chart that has to do with government and authority figures, don't take chances. Keep your integrity as you deal with such people in those positions, so that you don't end up in a difficult spot with them, okay? Make sure that there's you avoid deception. I mean, you might be getting deceived by authority figures all the time. I mean, this can actually happen no matter if you've got Neptune transit here or not. We are often deceived by those in power and their propaganda and so forth. But as for you, keep your integrity so that they've got nothing to pin on you. You know, they can't come and get you because you've done everything by the book, everything right. Keep your relationship with these people as conscientious as possible. Now, it's wonderful energy, my beautiful Cancer friends, if you happen to work in a Neptunian field already. This is a time of miracles, a time of blessings, a time of flourishing that might come your way as Neptune transits here. If you are in a career as a healer of some sort, in a medical profession, if you're in a spiritual or mystical profession, if you're a farmer, Neptune is associated with farmers. Why? People often ask me, why is Neptune associated with farmers? Because farmers are, in a way, they are separate from the mainstream. You know, the busy bustling down in Burke Street, Melbourne, and buying and selling and trading and coming and people and coming and going and blah, 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 blah. What are farmers doing? They're out on their little, well, usually big in Australia, farm, managing things on their own. There is an isolation factor, a sort of a separation factor from mainstream hustle and bustle as a farmer. And so that is why Neptune has an association with farmers. So people involved in farms, might do very well while Neptune transits here for our Cancer friends. Cancer is also connected to farming in that it rules growing things, getting into the earth. But anyhow, I digress. Charity workers are also a Neptunian career field. Anyone involved in marketing or advertising, because Neptune rules creating an illusion. And what do marketers do and advertisers do? Create a dream, create an illusion, create an ideal. Hello. Poets, actors, singers. If you are in any of these fields, even if there's a little, drip of those sorts of activities in what you do for a living, then it can be a real time of blessing as Neptune transits here. In fact, I would suggest that you incorporate some of these creative Neptune fields or Neptune energies into what you're doing so that your career can flourish. That would be a great way to work with this energy. And also, if you are involving any of those things into what you're doing as a career, it can be very therapeutic and healing for you. Now, that said, I would also suggest that it can be a great benefit to have something Neptunian at your work desk, place of work, or if you're doing something that you want to leave a legacy for the world, it would be good to incorporate a Neptunian symbol into what you're doing. For example, I mentioned a podcast earlier. If that's something that you're doing, it would be really good to have like a little dolphin in the corner of, say, your podcast, imagery or something Neptunian that honors Neptune, because you want your career to succeed. And bringing in Neptunian energy while Neptune transits here can be a big thumbs up for that. Now, this is also the parental axis. The 10th house is often referred to in traditional astrology as the father, but many astrologers believe it actually is the mother. I would suggest it's the parent that has the most influence, the parent that wears the pants in the family dynamic, in the family situation. So you might find that the parent who wears the pants is the term I use, might become very Neptunian. They might start dabbling in art or creative ventures. They might become a little bit more unstructured in their life, or they might step back a little, because Neptune is to retreat and escape from their parenting responsibilities in some way during this time, potentially as well. This is also the house of gossip, reputation, public reputation, and Neptune is also associated with the ideas of gossip. So, you might find that people are gossiping a lot about you, and your public reputation is affected by that. Let's hope it's for all the best reasons, my friends, at some stage over the next 14 years. Now, for some of you, Neptune energy will be associated with retirement, my Cancer friends, or retreating from worldly responsibilities as it transits through the 10th house, because this is, as I've just said, the house of your public reputation. Neptune rules retirement. And so you might develop a reputation or be known in the world as somebody who doesn't need to work anymore, somebody who retires, or somebody who has made enough profit that they can just, enjoy the rest of their life. Doing whatever they want. How lovely. Let's hope so, Cancer. How divine. As I said, there might be some disillusionment regarding careers. There might be promises from bosses that don't pan out as we expected, but more likely than anything is that there will be changes in career direction when Neptune transits here. You might find that you are drawn more to something more Neptunian in your life over the next 14 years in terms of career and what you do. Thank you, Cancer. All right, Gemini rising. Can you hear the magpies outside? They are just so joyous. How lovely. They must love you, Gemini. And in fact, Gemini has a lot of similarities to our talkative, chatty magpies here in Australia. So good symbology there. Gemini, Neptune for the next 14 years is going to be transiting through your 11th house. Now, if you want to know more nitty-gritty detail about what this might bring you, I'd suggest checking out my free Neptune Through the Houses playlist on my YouTube channel, where I've got an hour-long video for every single house. In your case, you want to look for the video all about Neptune's transit of the 11th house to find out in more detail what's in store for you. But just as an overview, let's have a look now. This is a good position. In some way, there's shadow and light with Neptune and everything. And, this can indicate that your friends become very Neptunian, very loving, very generous, very supportive, very charitable towards you, which is lovely. And you'll be returning that energy towards your friends. This is when Neptune is strong and healthy in your natal chart. This is the result that we get as Neptune transits here. The 11th house also represents benefactors and social circles. And with Neptune transiting here, the universe might support you and bless you through benefactors, through friends, through social circles. Fantastic. This is especially true if for most of your life you have been giving to others unconditionally. When Neptune transits through the 11th house, then we receive back that unconditional love. It flows back to us from those that we care about and love. So how beautiful, Gemini. What a lovely and deserving energy for you, my friends. This is especially true, as I said in the introduction, when Neptune is well placed and well aspected in your natal chart. But with difficult aspects, then the shadow side of Neptune can step in a little more. And that means that we can have unrealistic expectations about what our friends should be and are. We might be somewhat disillusioned with regard to our friends. We thought they were one thing and now they're showing us another side of who they are that we're not so impressed by. We can become very disappointed in our friendships because our expectations or our illusions about who they were are not met. So this is a challenging side of this transit. Remember, Neptune is a higher divine love, and I would just encourage you to really, Gemini, cultivate an attitude of forgiveness, of no expectations of your friends, just kindness and grace towards them, regardless of what they do and who they are. Let go. And really, Neptune is calling you through this transit to keep believing that at heart, people are good. Your friends are good at heart, even if they might go off the rails sometimes or whatever. Keep open to your friends. Keep open to your benefactors in life, no matter how disillusioned or disappointed you may become. That's what I would suggest. This is, it's so funny. I have to share this with you, Gemini, but so many of my single girlfriends who were very close to me when I was a single mother for 14 years of my life suddenly decided they didn't want to be my friend anymore when I partnered with David. And it saddens me. It breaks my heart. It's very, not that I'm a Gemini, but a person, but it's very much this type of energy where, I thought they were my friends, and then as soon as this occurs, suddenly they vanish like a puff of smoke. Disillusioned, disappointed, and sad that and I see this so many times in the world these days. We cannot celebrate with those we love when they are successful. Instead, we become jealous or, disoriented or something by other people's happiness. It absolutely breaks my heart to see that going on. We need to build each other up. We need to celebrate each other's wins, whether we're male or female, doesn't matter. We need to be in one another's corner as best we can. So also with Neptune transiting here, I would suggest that you really, especially if you've got difficult aspects to your natal Neptune, that you need to be very careful about the friends that you do choose. In the shadow dark side of Neptune energy, you could have a deceptive friend, somebody who pulls the wool over your eyes, somebody who intentionally deceives you and rips you off or, does something nasty to you. Another way this can manifest is that you might find that you are thrust into social circles that are more glamorous or bohemian, all these lovely energies of Neptune that could manifest. It is possible, my Gemini friends, that during this time you'll have a tendency to avoid confrontation, because Neptune is a bit like the fishes of Pisces, which Neptune in modern astrology rules. You tend to bolt, tend to run away rather than talking things out, rather than sharing your feelings and getting to the heart of things. You're like, that's it, I'm out of here. And away you go, like a little fish swimming away down the stream once it's startled and surprised by something it didn't expect. So Neptune can give that energy as well. You might have a tendency over the next 14 years to just run from confrontation or run from something that needs to be sorted out regarding friendships. But onto better topics. Neptune in the 11th house of dreams and wishes and rewards and gains can bring miracles that could be just enough to really thrill you to your very fingertips. You could wish for the moon, and Neptune may very well just manifest it for you over the next 14 years. This is, like I said, the house of dreams and wishes. So dream big, my Gemini friends. Put that vision board together, have it in front of you every day, and go for the top of the mountain, the top of the tree. Don't go for the bottom branches, Keep the faith regarding your dreams. Keep the faith, even if there is disappointment regarding, your aspirations and your dreams. Keep on dreaming, because miracles can happen. Now, if they don't happen in this lifetime, they may very well, because you're putting it into the ether, you're putting it into the vortex. It's out there. Your dreams, your wishes, your aspirations are there energetically. And all they've got to do is just manifest at some point in some lifetime when your vibration is right to match with that vision, that dream. So keep wishing, keep dreaming. It is powerful during this Neptunian transit of the 11th house. And who knows, your vibration as you live life here in third dimensional reality might get to that point in the next 14 years where that energy in the ether matches your vibration. I have goosebumps as I'm saying this, and the blossoming occurs. So keep the faith, keep the belief. Even if things are disappointing, keep on dreaming big. It's powerful. Oh God, I've got such big goosebumps. Gemini, it's powerful for you now. And I'd also throw into that having some utopic dreams for humanity. The 11th house is about living in harmony with one another and with nature. The 11th house is about the collective human experience. And so throw in some ideals and dreams for a better society, a better world, a world that is more of the golden age and less of the hell realm. Please, for all our sakes, we just encourage you, Gemini people, to do that for the sake of everybody's benefit. Now, you might also experience during this transit of Neptune in your 11th house a desire to join some sort of utopian movement. It'll be an individual within it because it's Aries energy after all, but you will, might be some I don't know, some ideological group or, utopian movement of some sort might be on the cards for you for the next 14 years. And Neptune is no boundaries. So I mentioned dreams and wishes a moment ago, and I just want to highlight that your dreams and wishes can really expand. Like the boundaries are pushed out now. There is no limits. There's no blockage, especially after Saturn leaves Aries in about 2028. Then the potential for dreams to manifest increases because Saturn's restrictive and blocking energy will no longer be there, and only Neptune's boundaryless energy can be there. So your big dreams can actually begin to manifest. Again, we just need to be careful while Neptune transits here of false friends and benefactors who really don't have our best in mind. So just be conscious of those energies. Thank you, lovely Gemini. All right, and Taurus rising, sun and moon. Thank you for sticking with us to the very end of this rather long video, Taurus. You are having Neptune transit your 12th house for the next 14 years here in Aries. Now, I would suggest checking out my free astrology playlist on Neptune through the houses and looking for the video on Neptune transiting the 12th house to get even more in-depth, juicy information about the nature of this transit. Now, Neptune, we're just going to cover a few things generally here, though, Taurus. Neptune is the natural energy that relates to the 12th house. So this is like a double whammy Neptunian experience for you for the next 14 years. So what does that mean? It means that sort of spiritual and otherworldly experiences are going to come more naturally to you. Clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience. Your intuition can really increase now. You might be just suddenly, not suddenly, more in an infiltrating way, which is the nature of Neptune, move into an area of just brilliant psychological understanding. This is an energy not of getting the big degree in psychology, but just knowing how people function, knowing why people choose to do what they do, understanding the motives behind what goes on in people's lives, and seeing the truth. There can also be, in the shadow side, Neptune here can sort of give you, this is a power from Neptune, but it's not necessarily good karmically. It makes you very good at manipulating others in subtle subconscious ways. Neptune transiting here. So Taurus, keep your integrity lest karma comes back to haunt you down the track when Neptune is no longer here and you find people manipulating you. So you've got to keep your karma as clear as possible because Neptune can certainly give his payback, especially when he gets to the end of the transit in 2038, moving through the final degrees. That's when the karma can sometimes come back to us. So don't be manipulating others, and your karma will remain clear. But this is also the house of dreams, like night dreams, visions, daydreams, and you could really have some very powerful dreams. Very powerful dreams, Taurus, over the coming 14 years. So do have a dream journal beside your bed, note them down, see what they represent, and you'll probably be actually, a bit like Daniel in the biblical stories, able to interpret dreams very strongly as Neptune transits here. Suddenly things will make more sense to you that otherwise might be a little bit off the planet, you know what I mean? So will have the capacity to understand omens and interpret dreams, especially for those of you who are a little bit more psychically inclined anyway. This is now really enhanced and empowered for you. And if you're into astrology, like not just listening to me talk about it, but practicing it yourself, this can be a very powerful 14-year time for you when astrology becomes more than just intellectual for you. It becomes more than just a science for you. It can become quite psychic, like just an inner knowing of, well, that energy means this. And it's like this, it's coming from another place for you, maybe from a past life, maybe the angels are giving you downloads, but really powerful psychic astrology capacity as Neptune moves through this realm of the chart. But Neptune dissolves barriers, and this is a house that has very few barriers and restrictions on it anyway. So there can be a lot of, or a lack rather, of psychic protection while Neptune transits here. And as such, can I just encourage you to practice every day putting on some sort of spiritual protection. Prayer, meditation is good. Visualize surrounding yourself with angelic energy, divine energy, or some sort of force field like Violet out of The Incredibles or something. Use your imagination, Taurus, or cultivate your imagination to put that protection around you spiritually and psychically as you go through the next 14 years. The more mature you are, the more you, I think, will know how to do this, and just to walk away from any sort of psychic vampires that you might encounter. And please, I'm not talking about actual vampires out there, much as I love the New Zealand film What We Do in the Shadows, all about vampires. Check it out, it's so hilarious. Oh my God, it's the funniest movie I've ever seen. But Taika Waititi, what a talent. But anyhow, I'm not talking about actual vampires. I'm talking about people who drain the energy out of you, drain the happiness out of you, drain the joy out of you. The older we get, the more we can know when to walk away from people like that. And certainly with Neptune transiting through the 12th house, there's a real need to cultivate that capacity to just walk away and retreat and restore ourselves from any energy that's too much. Could be a workplace. It could be family. Maybe you just need to have a holiday from your family for a while or something. But taking time out, retreating, resting, escaping becomes very, very important as a form of protection, as a form of soul enhancement during this time. So do make sure that you schedule time and allow time to just tap out for a bit. Holidays, day off here, a visit to the day spa there, whatever works for you. Now, artists who are having this transit, so Taurian artists, can receive a lot of otherworldly inspiration for their work. And by artists, I mean, singers, dancers, filmmakers, poets, painters, anyone who does some sort of fine art can actually receive so much blessing from the divine. Also, this is a house of past lives. Neptune transiting through here can give a lot of deja vu, where you're like, called to go for a holiday to a certain part of the world, and while you're there you just get goosebump after goosebump after goosebump because you feel like you've been there before in a dream or in a past life. This is likely to happen a lot over the next 14 years. Now, what that does for you in this incarnation, who knows? But it may be a form of processing and composting, if you like, or decomposing old memories or old energies or behaviors from that time. So that's one way it might be working, but you may not really even know that. Just see it for what it is, give thanks for the goosebumps, thanks for the experience, and allow the divine and the other realms to do their work in whatever way that they're doing that. You might travel a bit more during this time while Neptune is here in the 12th house. The 12th house is faraway places. Neptune also rules faraway places, and it's also about escaping and travels. So travels can be on the cards, not for any work or any, development of some sort of contracts or business affairs or anything like that. This is about holidays. This is about taking a break. So lovely energy in that regard. And also, this is, Neptune's connected to hypnosis. And because this is about boundaries being dissolved between the trance realm, the divine realm, let's say, you might be able to be hypnotized very easily during this time. Now, that can be a benefit. Put your psychic protection in place, yes, but it can actually be a benefit, because if you've got anything that needs healing, hypnosis is one of the most powerful ways we can change our life, our habits, our belief systems, our negative energy. Hypnosis, and I've become a registered hypnotherapist over the last little while myself, and I just know how incredibly powerful it is and life-changing it can be. And so it may be a good time to dabble in a little bit of self-hypnosis, or get, download a hypnosis track or something like that to help heal a wound, heal a trauma, heal a behavioral pattern that is holding you back. Neptune here can bring a lot of healing through those mechanisms. The mind is just such a powerful organism that we don't even understand fully how it works. So Neptune energy is going to be very full of blessing for Taurus people in that regard. And a lot of the time, you'll probably notice this a lot over the next 14 years, my Taurus friends, but you'll be able to be mesmerized very easily. So this is the kind of thing when you're driving, maybe an hour trip somewhere, and you get there and you're like, oh my God, I don't even remember how I got here, or driving here. I just know I got in the car, and then the next thing you know, here I was, that sort of mesmerizing, entrancing kind of experience you might have all the time. A song might take you to another plane, or you might see a movie and it transports you, or something like that. These sorts of experiences are likely to be increased during this time. Experiences of divine energy, experiences of mesmerization or hypnosis, if you like, or trance experience. All of these things are likely to be much more frequent as Neptune transits here. Now, my darling friends, we are at the end of this monster video. I hope it's a blessing for you. I hope you are uplifted in this week of your life. Thank you for being here and supporting me on my YouTube channel. I'll be back with more wonderful astrological information for you next week.